another semi-packed show for you guys, and that's why we are late. It is the Midweek Chat Attack. Hello, Alan. How you doing, sir?
What is up? I'm here also.
He is here as well. And that's it. It's just me and Alan. Alan and Ganja said, hey, we are sick of Nick. We are sick of him yelling all the time. We are leaving. And Alan's like, well, I mean, you know.
I got nothing better to do.
Yeah. Oh, man. By the way, I like the hair, by the way. I like that. Looking nice.
That's
looking
awful.
Slick.
I got to get a hair. I have too much fucking hair.
Oh, man.
Like,
no.
Literally too much hair.
Okay, well, see, now
Like,
that's where you're fucking up. Don't do that. Don't cover one eye and try to do the Ganja Guru. That ain't gonna work. But people, yes, we are here. We are doing our thing. I'm gonna show the YouTube chat for the most part because I mean, even though both chats are empty right now because I mean, you guys have been waiting all fucking day. I mean, how long are you gonna fucking wait? But the thing is, if you guys are gonna be posting gifts, whatever, in the Double Toasted chat, I mean, I'll keep a lookout. You know what I mean? I'll go back and forth. I actually like that gift right there. But the thing is, though, I'm gonna have to focus on this live because no shows going on doubletoasted.com. We're about an hour after we usually start, actually about an hour and 20 minutes or so. And the biggest thing is too is like everyone's just relaxing. I mean, I don't know, people are sick, people are tired, people are hungover. New Year's has been kicking people's asses, man. But I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the weather. Maybe it's the coldness. I don't fucking get it. But the thing is, though, people, there's a lot of things we're going to be talking about tonight. On the side, you can see it right there. We're talking about the new Slender Man official trailer. We're talking about Super Mario Oddysey topping the speedrun list. We're talking about Apple acquiring Netflix, apparently. And then, obviously, we're going to give our top 10 best TV shows and worst TV shows of 2017. Alan, are you nervous about that, by the way? The TV show thing, the top 10 thing?
I'm just waiting for you to bring up Black Mirror on the worst of list so you can just yell at me.
I mean, I won't say that that's on there, but I mean, it could be.
That's on there. I'm pretty sure the only reason you made the list is to talk shit about Black Mirror.
No. I actually really want to watch that new show. I mean, I don't know if it counts as a 2017 show because it just came out, the season 4. But I mean,
it does because it was like the last day. That's why I was like, it can't really be on the list, man. It literally came out like the day before the fucking year ended.
Yeah, I know, that is actually pretty weird timing. I mean, then again, there's no other competition because that's so weird timing. So it's like, I got nothing to do. I'll watch Black Mirror. And what's up with 6 episodes, by the way? You know, I mean, I'm sorry to get off on a tangent and everything, everybody, but like fucking 6 episodes for a show, isn't that too little?
That's actually the most it's ever had. Back when this was a British television show, it was like 3 episodes. Because what it is, these are little they're anthologies, so they're little short, bite-sized stories. They have their own middle, start, and end, and they're kind of they're isolated. So they'd have 3 episodes per season, and then they would do it because that's how British do. They do it very, very short. It wasn't until season 3 came along and they gave it to Netflix, and Netflix said, "Fuck it, here's I can't remember if it was 4 or if it was 6 again, but I know it was more episodes in season 3 than in the other ones." And in season 4, they're like, "Yeah, here, you want 6 episodes? You get 6 episodes."
Yeah, which is good. I mean, basically they're doing it for the fans. You know, like that's kind of awesome.
They're doing as much as they feel like, yeah, we have like 6 or 7 ideas. Fuck it, we'll do one season of it. Yeah,
and I guess JP is actually looking it up right now. I don't know what he's particularly looking up, but he's probably looking up the the whole Slender Man trailer or maybe Black Mirror. I don't know, either one. But the thing is too, JP, when you figure out when that was released, go and let us know in the chat, and we'll respond to that. But for the most part, dude, like I'm actually kind of curious in watching Black Mirror. I just don't like the fact that they're really pushing this whole Star Trek fucking episode. Have you noticed all the?
I've been avoiding it like fuck, but like every single thing I keep seeing is the first episode of Star Trek. I'm like, I don't know, man. But then again, like it's always about the premise and how they're integrating it into it. So I am really curious about what it's gonna be like and what they're gonna do with it. But it's just I just haven't had the time just because that stuff got in the way. But like I really want to watch the newest season.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Maybe we'll watch that together in a after hours thing, whatever the fuck one of these days. I don't know, but I mean, it's one of those shows too where it's like it's supposed to spark conversation, and it's like if people disagree on something, whether or not it's quality or not quality, man, there's gonna be fucking fights. People are gonna be like, "Oh, fuck you, man." But it is what it is. Now, people, really quick, usually Ganja Guru does this, but I'm going to go ahead and do this because, I might have people on in the show. I don't know if people are even going to want to come onto the show because it's so fucking late, etc. I mean, we are starting this way later than we typically do. But I'll read the rules really quick, people. First of all, newcomers, please join the call first. And speaking of, before we even get into the second rule, speaking of newcomers coming into the call first, Alan, how did they get into the call, man?
Well, if you're in the DT chat, just simply send a PM to, I guess, just me tonight, and I will send you a link to the call. You pop in, and you'll listen to the rest of the rules. If you are in the YouTube chat, just find me on Facebook, PM me there that you want to be on the show. I will send you a link there. and then you can also still come in and listen to the rules.
Yep, and that would be awesome shit. I would love that. But here's the thing, though, people. One thing when you do get into the call, though, don't talk over other people, because if you do that, well, it gets confusing. We can't hear what the fuck you're saying. So it's
confusing,
like
confusing, yeah. Because
you motherfucker. Oh no! I don't know what Ganja says when that happens. Like, I have no idea. I can't remember at all. But the thing is, yeah, people don't come in there and doing that shit. Like what Alan just did right now is a great example, because if you do that, well, yeah, I can't hear what the fuck you're saying, you can't hear what I'm saying, and none of us are getting anything accomplished. And rule number 3, please no nudity. And, I mean, we always say nudity, which we never really had an issue, aside from Chicago John. Do you remember that fucking thing? Oh, goddamn.
It's the fucking year 1 edit. You can I think it's the second or third one, whereas we got it on cam, so yeah, you'll be able to see some shit.
Yeah, man, you've seen a lot in that particular episode. But the thing is, though, Chicago John's actually showed his ass, whatever like that, too. But the thing is, like, even if you come on, you know, don't show anything that's, like, it's above nudity, you know. Don't show anything that could be a problem, okay? I mean, that includes going into a suicide forest and fucking, you know, taking a picture right next to a dead body. You know, we're not Logan Paul over here.
Oh, Lord. I can't believe that happened. That's like it's day 2 of fucking 2018. That's how the year started, by the way, folks.
Yep, absolutely. People getting confused between him and Aaron Paul is fucking amazing. But no, we'll talk about that.
Paul?
Huh?
Who the fuck is Aaron Paul?
No, he's Jesse from Breaking Bad.
Oh, okay. Are they? This is so stupid. Are they related in any way?
No, they're not. But they're very white, and they look just like each other.
Okay, yeah.
Oh man, that was racist. But no, people. And then once again, a big thing here that Ganja always says, and he always, you know, we'll be making jokes, and then we'll get to this rule, and it's very serious. We gotta talk really low. But yeah, don't give anybody else a fucking link, dude. If you give somebody else a link that we're not planning to have on the show, and they have a quality issue, like a camera issue or a mic issue or an attitude problem, we don't want to fucking ruin the whole feeling of what we do here and everything. If that happens, that will be a fucking issue, and you will be, you know, responsible for that, and we have to deal with that particular person that you brought on, as well as deal with you, and I don't want to have to do that. And once again, rule number 5, read the rules. And Alley Girl, I don't know. Alan Boy,
don't be a dick. It's 2018.
Motherfucker. Oh, I love that shit. No, give me one, motherfucker.
Motherfucker.
Yes, there we go.
First one of the year.
Oh, first one of the year, man. Yeah, and I'm looking over here in the YouTube chat, by the way, too. He's saying he used to follow this back in the day, Blaine David Neer. I don't know who that is. I don't know.
You might be talking about the Slender Man thing. That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh, yeah, the Slender Man thing. Which, speaking of that, let's get right into Slender Man. So, here's the situation with Slender Man, dude. Look, I don't understand the big thing about Slender Man, because I just wasn't ever into this stuff, so I can't even say anything that's, like, you know, of particular value as far as, like, you know, saying something that's smart or something educational about this. And now, I mean, can you, by the way, too, like, I mean, what's your earliest memory of Slender Man?
I looked this up a while back. Basically what it was Slender Man started off as an internet kind of icon. So what it was is people would send photos, and they would put this, you know, guy in a suit with tentacles in the back, like in the background of photos. So you'd see a forest and you'd see some girl chilling, but then in the back you'd see you'd see an image of this guy in this thing. So people start creating their own lore. They started creating their own backstory. Like, you kind of almost have seen this in horror movies, where they start kind of creating this kind of, you know, this entity that just stalks people and kind of steals them and fucks with their mind a little bit. And it kind of just started there, and it started getting popularity, and then it just kind of exploded where everyone was talking about it. It had video games, comic books, like, and now a movie.
Yeah, I mean, Slender Man: The Arrival. I mean, that's a video game. I remember Conan O'Brien playing that. You know, and I don't know if that was a quality video game or anything like that. I mean, do you remember playing that at all, or no?
I played the hell out of that game. That game was goddamn trash. All it is you're basically, Slender Man is chasing you, and I can't remember how you're supposed to get away with him, but you're supposed to find these images, these fucking, what are they called? Some posters or drawings on a fucking wall, and it's supposed to do something. And if you fucking get them all, you become Slender Man. It just basically, it's one of those, like, it's a mobile game that just became fucking mainstream, where all you're doing is running away from this weird entity, and you and a bunch of your friends are trying to find a bunch of images. It's really nothing to it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, man. Like, I know, like, this got a lot of popularity because of Markiplier's playthroughs and things like that.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know, I mean, it is what it is. You know, sometimes these games are pretty bad. I mean, Five Nights at Freddy's is another video game franchise that wasn't really entertaining at all. And then, you know, because of people's reactions, everyone's like, I want to play that too. And then they, you know, it was a big thing.
Oh yeah, it became the best LP stuff. Like, it was one of those things where you could just do it really quickly. It was like an hour video at most, and you got, you know, the yelling reactions, the scared reactions, and people would just come to your channel right away.
Yeah, man, exactly. And here is a little bit of a preview of the whole Five Nights at Freddy's thing.
Yeah.
Now, for me, back in the day for this stuff, I didn't get it just like I didn't get the Slender Man thing. But then it's like, I can't just say like, oh, I just don't get something, so there's no value to it. Because there is value to things that I don't understand because I'm of a certain age and things like that. And here we are with Slender Man, the movie. Now, I don't know if I'm supposed to look at this and say like, hey, man, you know, the lore is what's making this kind of cool. Or are you supposed to look at this and it's supposed to be scary no matter what, like Lights Out was, things like that? Because Lights Out was based off of some kind of internet thing too with the Facebook thing, and that just became huge. It just blew up. And Lights Out apparently was a bad movie, and I think it was because it was more of the lore and just kind of stretching something out that was supposed to be so small and so creepy, and it turned into a 2-hour fucking sack of shit that really did not deserve. And you get something like this, and I mean, for one, I mean, it's a bad trailer to even be showing you guys right now because the whole fucking thing takes place in this darkness. I mean, the contrast is ridiculous, and it's so dark. And I mean, obviously, it's a horror movie, so it's supposed to be this dark. But the thing is, the character, what makes the character scary is he's basically a shadow. He's like a fucking shadowy Nosferatu type of singlet, you know, a shape, if you will. You know what I mean? And I actually kind of can't stand that. I mean, like, what do you feel about this trailer, first of all, man? Because you just watched it right now.
Yeah, it's honestly one of those things where it's typical horror movie trope where, you know, have a few kind of dark scenes, have a few weird kind of images, set it in some small bumfuck town nowhere that no one's ever fucking heard of. Make sure there's forests in the background so that way you can tell this place is kind of isolated in the middle of nowhere. And then do the thing of, let's just have a bunch, like, there's literally a 30-second sequence in this fucking trailer where it's just a bunch of random fucking images that have nothing to do with anything to kind of get you, oh, what's going on? What's going on? And the only context you get is, oh, he fucks with your mind in some way sense. So it's like one of those things where it's this forced psychological bullshit where we're just gonna do a bunch of random scenes because that's what it means to be crazy and stuff like that. But to me, it's cookie cutter. There's nothing original in this, and maybe some of the lore or some of the images we're seeing is based on that. But the whole point of a movie is to kind of not only get the people that love it, but also get mainstream audiences, people that have no fucking idea. And honestly, I'm not any more excited to watch this than I was before I even fucking saw the trailer.
Now, I was trying to brighten it up right now so you guys can see. Now, basically, right up, right behind her. It's not a tree. It's not a wall. It's not just a big black hole of fucking nothingness. No, actually, it's not. It's the Slender Man, and I didn't notice that at first when I first saw it. But she's like laying up against the Slender Man. And I thought that was a cool concept because at first you're like, wait, I don't get what's going on. Like, it's supposed to be like, oh, Slender Man the movie. And I'm like, is she scared of logo? Because what is she running away from? And that was a horrible way to end the trailer. But it's so fucking dark that it's Slender Man, and you don't see him. And I'm like, okay, if that's how you're gonna sell me at the end of this trailer, like, oh shit, Slender Man's here, it's gonna be a badass thing. What are we going to see in the movie? Are we never going to see this fucking dude until, like, maybe a flash of him at the very, very end? Like,
it's going to be flashes. That's kind of how it always was in the... It's going to be one of those things where it's... have you ever seen Sinister? Where there's photos and shit? It's going to be that. Like, we're going to see him in the background. It's going to be doing with how they sent it on the internet. It's going to be like, oh, what's going on? Let's look this up. Oh, in the town, yada yada, there was a guy that did this thing and became the yada yada. Look at these photos, and you start seeing Slender Man in the background. You start seeing them in the background. Then weird stuff's going to happen. Weird stuff's going to happen. And then people are going to start getting kidnapped. People are going to start showing up. And it's like, it's just going to be, it's not going to be anything interesting. It's going to be cookie cutter because they came up with this interesting icon, but they don't know how to transfer it to film, so they're just going to do what worked before.
Yeah, man. But I mean, aside from that, I mean, we'll see what happens with this particular movie. You know what I mean? I mean, it is a horror movie. I like me some horror movies. Horror movies nowadays, I don't really enjoy because they do the exact same thing over and over again. Like, I don't know the difference between this and any of the fucking Insidious movies, other than Slender Man looks creepy and the fucking red demon face from Insidious looks hilarious. Like, every time I see him, I fucking laugh. You know?
As much as that red face thing is not the scariest thing in Insidious, I still love the fuck out of that first movie. I've seen them all, but that first one will still be my favorite. It's one of the only movies I've ever seen. Like, when I was an adult, one of the only movies I've ever seen that kept me up at night. Really? That first one is legitimately creepy because there's situations in which they do a lot of cool stuff with lighting. Like, not his face, because you only really see his face maybe like once in the movie and then once at the end. But you really don't see him that often. But it's one of those things where they do a lot of cool stuff with lighting. They do a lot of interesting stuff with telling the story. When people tell a story and they're not showing any visuals, it's just someone talking, you know, almost off camera. You start to feel this sense of dread and tremble. Like when they're explaining what the further was. When there's a situation where a woman's explaining her dreams and she's like, I saw this dark figure, and you start to see her dream, you see this creepy dark thing. Your mind can't really see it. Your mind's kind of pulling it together. then you start noticing, oh shit, there's something there. Or at one point, she's looking up, but the audience can't see anything. Some guy's just drawing stuff, and you see this crazy shit on the paper. You're like, what the fuck is going on? And
Yeah,
I love
man.
the fuck out of it.
No, I mean I love that. So I love the imagery of weird, scary faces like that. Paranormal Activity did that very well, especially with the marked ones, because the movie's bad, but the creepy moments were great. And I mean that's why I liked about Paranormal Activity 4. That's why I liked about a lot of these, the movies from that era that really like to jump on like ghost shit and haunted houses and things like that.
Yeah.
And I mean hopefully Slender Man does the same thing, but I just feel like I've seen a shit ton of other things. I don't know, dude. I just don't know what to think about this movie, or any horror movies for that instance. And by the way, too, just to take a break from talking about that before we get into the Super Mario Odyssey thing, but KK Punk KK is over here in the house. Hello there, buddy. He's a guy who actually watches us on the wrestling ringside hangout show.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, awesome to see you here, brother. But yeah, just wanted to give you a little shout out. So. The thing is, though, moving on. Super Mario Odyssey tops the speedrun list. Now, first of all, before we even get into this particular subject, you with speedruns, do you do speedruns? Have you ever done speedruns?
Not in the traditional sense. Like I'll go back and play some of my favorite games and just kind of redo it. But the thing about speedruns and what makes them work is you're not so much trying to beat it in the allotted time that the game was designed to beat. It's always about finding little tricks, little things to basically beat the game faster than it was ever intended to do. So little shortcuts, glitches that the developer never intended for. Certain, like if you're playing an RPG, certain stats that you pick right away because you know that it'll help you get through certain dialogue. Like the thing about speedrun is not about beating the game or being good at it. It's about knowing enough tips and tricks. Like Super Mario, like the original Mario games, it was like it's not so much, oh man, I'm really good at this. It's if I jump here, then jump here, I could jump over this enemy and not have to attack this enemy, saving myself a couple seconds and being able to do little things here and there. It's basically like an obstacle course, a practice to do over and over again to get these little tips and tricks to try to beat the game in like 10-15 minutes. Like it was never intended to be beaten that fast.
Yeah, and I had the same situation going on with Resident Evil 4. I remember Resident Evil 4, I used to play this game because, the one thing I really liked about games from back in the day too is when you play one of those games and you unlock everything, like you leveled up, you got your fucking money and all that shit, you would have a situation where you have enough stuff, enough resources to just mow through all the fucking enemies, even the bosses. Sure. And for me, I actually played Resident Evil 4 and did that constantly. And this is a game that's very, very replayable, especially when you have the codes and everything like that.
Right.
What I mean? And then, like the extra costumes and shit like that too. This guy over here, I'm going to go and show the main screen over here, but this dude did this Resident Evil 4, 1 hour and 32 minutes. Yeah, an hour and a half.
That's crazy.
Which is funny, considering, because this might change my opinion of what I was going to have before we even, brought this discussion up. But with Super Mario Odyssey, apparently someone beat that in an hour and 10 minutes. The entire game.
Well, it depends. Again, it's one of those things where the original Mario games, you beat the whole thing in like 15 minutes. Like the fact that speedrun should not change your opinion on the game, because speedruns, like something like Dark Souls, I saw somebody beat it in 45 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And what they did is they were able to kind of get through the level fast. They were able to do random glitches that nobody ever expected. Like that jumping thing he did. There could be a situation where he's played the game so many times, he's able to actually break the game. Like I saw a Mirror's Edge Catalyst playthrough that the guy Mirror's Edge the original, that the guy beat it in under an hour, because he's able to do random jump glitches to get himself across the level. Because when you play a platformer like Super Mario, how it kind of works is it's all about you getting through the environment in a set path. But if you either have all the powers or know how the game is supposed to be run, you can get through all of the platforming shit faster than the game was ever intended to, because you know all the little tips and tricks. Not so much you being good at it, but you actually knowing how the game actually runs. And it makes sense, yeah, an hour and 10 minutes. Like that's kind of average for speedruns for games, because people are glitching their way through it.
No, it doesn't bother you at all. Like, I mean, because for me, like when I saw that time limit, I was like, okay, this is a situation where I mean, like I'm not gonna say this game is bad or anything, but it's like if you can beat this game that long, what if someone's moderate and they can beat the game in like 4 hours? That's still very short for a new school 2017 video game. Not to mention we're in 2018 now.
Right.
But I mean, yeah, like where do you draw that line? Or I mean, or do you not draw that line ever?
I don't, because it's not like speedrunning isn't beating a game fast. Beating a game fast is, oh, you know how to, like something like, what's a good example? Like when you were playing, like playing some games nowadays, Wolfenstein, for instance. I beat that game in probably about 12 hours. And that's about its intended playtime, because I was dying, because I played on certain difficulty, because I spent around doing certain things. beating a game like Mario Odyssey in an hour and 10 minutes isn't because he's really good. It's because he knows the almost like to a game creator's level of how the game is run. The physics of it, the little things. It's not so much. It's not being good. Being good is not speedrunning. Speedrunning is knowing the little tips and tricks to actually essentially break the game and try to shrink the actual level you're going across. And that's because you know the little things, almost to the code of how this game is run. Where a moderate person is going to be going through the game as is intended. Like Mario Odyssey to me seems like a 7 to 10 hour game because it's about how the game is constructed in a linear path, but these guys are cutting through the levels and in a way that was never intended, that the developer had no idea was even possible. Like there have been times where they've had, I think it was for Silent Hill 2, and they had one of the developers of Silent Hill 2 watch a speed run and him going, "You can get past the enemies like that? What?" The game was never built to be that way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's the thing that's crazy to me that somebody would actually go into the game and want to do that. I mean, I know nowadays there's an audience, but there's people speedrunning video games back in the day with the NES and everything like that too. Like I remember trying to speedrun Contra 3 Alien Wars, and the shit was, I mean, no one was watching me, you know. But like, what's a game that you feel like you beat the fastest? By the way, like not trying to do a speedrun, but like, what's a game where it's like, okay, I beat this game faster than I beat any other game in existence?
Probably the first one on top of my head would be Resident Evil 7 because I essentially beat that in one sitting.
Oh,
I think I clocked it in 8 hours and I essentially beat that in one sitting. That's probably one of the fastest as far as new. But I have to go back a day. I think it would be Metro 2033 would have to be the one because I've beaten that game like 4 or 5 times, and I think I got in that game in like 5 hours. And just because I knew how everything was going, I knew where the enemies would be, and I knew how to get through it. I knew where to spend my money and where not to spend my money. Like, by the way, Metro 2033 is a great game. Everyone should go play it. It's fucking incredible. But yeah, I love the fuck out of this game. You can either go through it stealthy or action, and I went through it action because it's much faster. But that was one of the only games that actually try to beat really, really quickly because you kind of can. Like, it's an 8-hour game and it's linear. But when you have a linear game, you can basically figure out like the fastest way. You can run past enemies depending on the level design, and that's really one of the few games I've actually tried to beat really quickly.
Yeah, man. But yeah, Metro 23. I actually played this a lot too, and then Last Light was also really fucking good too.
Oh,
so. Yeah, man. God, what's that new game gonna be called, by the way?
Metro Exodus, and I don't care if that's how it's pronounced. I'm calling it Exodus.
People, everybody in the chat, tell this motherfucker, please, that the name is Exodus, not Exodus. Exodus is not a goddamn word. But people, yeah, man. Actually, it probably is a word. Now I'm thinking about it. Like now I'm gonna look stupid. Man. I just took your L and just applied it to myself right now. But yeah, people. So next up over here on the discussion list and everything like that, Apple to acquire Netflix? Question mark, exclamation point, because
I was hoping this was not real.
Okay, it is. But the thing is, like, okay, I don't know what to think now because for one, I think it's one of those. It's almost like trendy or not trendy, but it's like, ooh, like. Since that's possible now with the 20th Century Fox purchase from fucking Disney, now let's just say that anybody can buy anybody else. You know, like now that's going to be a discussion that's kind of brought up a lot easier than it was before because now it's plausible. And for me personally, I think it would be a bad thing. Now, how about you, man?
I completely 100% agree. The idea of anybody buying it's one of those things where I guess Ganji would kind of agree if he was here. The idea of anyone owning Netflix to me is a problem because Netflix kind of made it start on its own. It started the streaming service. And it's one of those things where anybody owning it, not even like my favorite, developers or my favorite whatevers. It's that they've been able to do what they're doing because they had no regulations. They had no rules. They had nobody above them saying you can't do that. They could have, Punisher be as bloody as they fucking want it to be and nobody's going to tell them otherwise. They could have shows like the Big Mouth or Big Stupid or whatever the fuck it was called. They can have all this sort of anime stuff because they basically made themselves a media giant. They didn't have, they weren't a subsidiary. They weren't something like Pixar that got bought up when they were kind of doing their thing and became part of Disney. They became the monster they were by themselves, and because they had no rules, because they had nobody telling them no. So the idea that Apple, and they're the most restrictive fucking people out there, acquiring this independent fucking media giant, it would basically ruin everything because it would basically like now you have fucking restrictions on a company that had never had any restrictions before, Yeah. Like what they can do, make sure no Marvel Netflix shows are going to be available anymore. Make sure no other shows but their own stuff. Like they can restrict the fuck out of Netflix really easily.
Yeah, man. I mean, it sucks. Like, I mean, I don't know even what to say other than bad shit. Like I'm trying to be at least a little bit like, optimistic or something like that because I don't know, and I mean, I think the reasoning why this is happening, because apparently Disney was reportedly interested in buying them in the past, and their inability to get that deal, I guess, played a big factor, you know, in Disney trying to acquire like fucking Fox and stuff like that. So, you know, I don't know what is making people want to do this, because for one, you're just gonna have more shit to do, you know, which is bad. I don't like that either.
It's 100% revenue. Like Disney wanted to buy them because they're like, well, we have our own Disney Channel, but like, hey, let's get a streaming service. Let's get, you know, one of the biggest streaming service to put it under the Disney. They, you know, for the most part, when Disney does it, they'll do their own thing. We just take, you know, how much of the profit, and we get money. And so when they wanted to buy Netflix, they're like, yeah, we let them do what they want. We make, you know, billions on the side. Who cares? So they're like, well, we can't do that. Let's get another television studio, essentially, with Fox, because they do a lot of television stuff. And now we have our television, you know, sector. And I think Apple's like, well, you know, we do a lot of streaming stuff with our music. We have iTunes. We have all sorts of stuff. People love watching Netflix on our Apple devices. Let's just buy Netflix. It goes hand in hand. So I understand why Apple wants to buy them. I just think I honestly fucking hate Apple so goddamn much. The idea of them owning Netflix makes me mad.
Yeah, and Red Robot King saying Samsung should buy a Viacom. You know, I don't know if that's the thing that
Good
should
luck
be
with
happening.
that.
Yeah, and Dahan, he's saying, yeah, I can get Netflix on my iPod Nano. That's actually a good question that I wanted to bring up really quick. I'm glad you even brought that up. Poor iPod Nano. That shit's been dead for so long, and I actually really love those fucking things. Those were great. I still actually have my 8 GB 6th generation fucking iPod Nano. But either way,
Yep.
The thing is though, with iTunes, because iTunes is still alive and well, surprisingly. I don't know how it survived this long, especially with Pandora and all this shit coming out.
Spotify and all that shit.
Exactly. But I'm wondering, do you feel like Netflix is going to take that? Because the biggest question here is, like, who's going to benefit more from this, Apple or Netflix? Because
Apple.
You think Apple?
Netflix has its own issues of it's always going bankrupt to some fucking degree. But the thing about Netflix is it stands on its own. It's not a parent company. It's not a subsidiary. It's not anyone's boss. It's not a boss to anybody. Nobody's telling Netflix what to do, so they get essentially 100% freedom. They're only owed to the shareholders to continue doing their thing. That's why they can do so much of their original programming. That's why they can do so much different things. That's why you have, you know, House of Cards and Orange is the New Black and all, you know, Stranger Things even, where you can have such a variety of genre of shows without anyone saying, well, that doesn't fit well with focus groups, or that doesn't fit well with the current demographic. They don't have to follow trends. Netflix, for the most part, sets the trends. They do interesting things. They do different things, and Netflix benefits from the fact that they can essentially do what they want. But Apple, when they buy them, Apple's going to get the money. Apple's going to get essentially all the money and all the good stuff from it. But they can also tell Netflix what to do, and they're going to fuck Netflix over like anytime Microsoft ever bought a fucking studio.
Yeah, and by the way, Deshaun in the chat is making reference to the iPod commercials with YouTube playing. Man, I did not remember, or I don't know how to even look that up. I don't know what it's called or whatever the fuck, but those were so bad, man. The TV spots and everything. But yeah, man, like I said, though, for me personally, I think that for sure, out of both of them, I feel like Netflix will actually have more to gain. And the only reason why I'm saying that is because of the fact that Disney is making their own streaming service. So they're going to be taking Disney's shit, like their own stuff, off of Netflix. Amazon, Instant Video or Amazon Prime, with the whole
they've had it for a while.
Yeah, and then, you know, the big thing that's kind of a huge issue right now, too, is that AMC is willing to do deals with fucking Amazon Prime now, because apparently Walking Dead, they figured out, like, oh, yeah, we don't have a whole lot of, like, our paychecks should be a lot fucking higher, apparently. We should be getting more profit.
Oh, they're playing the Taylor Swift thing, okay.
Yep, yeah, pretty much. And the thing is, though, it's like, you know, I think that they might be going on to Amazon Instant Video, too. There's a lot of people that are like, oh, Amazon's pretty good, you know, and then they got this Prime thing, then, wait, what if, like, you have a thing on your fucking device where you're watching a movie, and then, you click the fucking remote, and it's a Domino's button, you get fucking pizza. Like, I don't know, like, they had the whole, like, shopping thing, whatever. You never know what's going to happen. I feel like they might do something like that. That'd be so cool. Like, I would love if Amazon Instant Video actually whooped Netflix's ass. There's things that Amazon did that Netflix didn't do that they stole from it, like the whole viewing your trailers before the movie starts and shit. Weird little previews and stuff like that. Like, Netflix for me, it's getting to a point now where I don't even know what to watch because I go on there and, like, the shit just keeps leaving constantly. Like, there's no shows to stay on for more than 3 months. Yeah, and then another thing that really bothers me about Netflix is that you run out of shit. Like, you have to be totally willing to watch nothing but mainstream shit at this point because they've had nothing but really, really bad B movies or very, very who gives a fuck now mainstream movies. I can't find anything in between. It's so
Their
like.
movies have always sucked. That's been the biggest criticism. Is their television shows? You can go back in time, you can go forward, you can go current. You have great television shows. Their movie selection has always been trash because honestly, Netflix has never really been known for. It has its movies, but it's never really been known for movies. It's always been known for television. It's always been known for it's either original or bringing stuff back. Like when Friends became on Netflix, like it was like a fucking monumental occasion because people could go back and watch Friends. And it's like that's what it's always really been known for. And Amazon has been kind of a mix of both because they have the rights. I'm sure they have the rights to be able to distribute a lot of movies, so they could just throw some of the older ones on the streaming service and they'll be fine with that. But I'm kind of glad that I'm kind of glad that Amazon Prime Video exists because you have the situation where this time the actual competition is allowing for better programming because you have a situation in which people are like, oh man, I can either go to Amazon Prime or I can go to Netflix or I can go to Hulu or I can go to whatever Disney is. And it's like now all those companies are going to be like, well, let's make the best programming to get people in the fucking seats. It's no longer like we're the only people that do streaming services. It's no longer the cable bullshit. We do now have all these streaming services. So you do have a choice. Because I honestly have Amazon Prime Video because I have Amazon Prime. But I've really never watched anything on there. Like Mr. Robot Season 3 is there, and I'm gonna watch that. But like, I've really never watched anything on that Prime Video at all.
Yeah, I mean, and I've watched like some B movies, and you know, when you want horror or something, go to that because Shudder is fucking trash. Don't go to Shudder; they're terrible. I know like Hulu. I actually bought Hulu for a little bit too, and Hulu was just getting on my fucking nerves because they had so much bad shit. But then lately they've been getting way better. Like now they're coming out with episodes like as soon as the fucking show airs. Like you know, instead of having to rent the fucking video like the next week, whatever the fuck, like you have it instantly with Hulu Plus. Another thing too is I'm loving that they have like shows like Seinfeld, like all 9 seasons. Like that's a huge purchase. That's a huge like.
That show still makes money. Like people still watch that.
Yeah, that syndication. Like I mean, to pull that from. I mean, it's still syndicated, obviously, but to pull something with such syndication to your online network, that's incredible. And I mean, I think Hulu's like, you know what, that's gonna get us to the promised land right there, shit like that. You know,
yeah,
let's do this. Everybody loves Raymond or something like that too, and now we're really gonna fuck y'all up. So I mean, we'll see. It might get interesting, man. But anyways, aside from that, people, we're talking about shows and things like that. It's time to get into the very dreaded for some people that watch us, the top 10 best TV shows of 2017. Now, the thing is, reason why I'm gonna be completely transparent with everybody too right now too, just to put this out there, is this list was completely different before, and literally about 50% of the things me and Alan didn't watch, and Ganja and Ali, the ones who did write all this stuff, they are not here. So I had to do this last minute and put things that me and Alan have both actually seen or seen most of. So at least we can discuss it, but then still, prioritize our whole like, yeah, we are a team, and this is not just my opinion or just Alan's opinion. It's all of our opinions together. But there will be some questionable things that if you ask Ali or Ganja next week on Saturday or something, they might be like, well, what the fuck? I didn't like that shit. Well, they're not here, so we had to talk about it, But with that said, I'm going to go ahead and start now. Here's the thing, Alan.
What's up?
I'm going to ask you really quick, buddy. What do you... Well, I just clicked on it, so now it's going to show... Fuck, too late. God damn it. I didn't mean to click on it.
I close my eyes. What's up?
Okay, what do you think number 10 is for best show?
Best show? If it's only between me and you, it's probably The Walking Dead.
Is The Walking Dead?
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. And he did have his eyes closed, people. He did have his eyes closed. And no, it's Impractical Jokers.
This is probably an all you thing, man. Because like I hate fucking this kind of bullshit where they pull pranks on people. I've always hated that bullshit.
God, why do you hate pranks, man? Pranks are great. I mean, that's the internet right now. Logan Paul, like.
Yeah. Like I need. Do I need any more reason to fucking say I hate pranks? Oh man, let's go out of our way to either like sometimes like they're kind of funny, like some comedy shows will have like skits where they make fun of people, but I feel like most of the time it's like let's just ruin someone's fucking day. Let's do this thing where like, oh man, let's pie someone in the face, or let's make them taste this weird thing, or make them smell this weird thing, so we can get a laugh because we have a camera in the back. And I feel like a lot of times it's just let's just fuck with people. And let's get it on tape. And oh man, if they get mad, look at they can't take a joke. If we get arrested, it's just a social experiment, bro.
Yeah.
I hate that bullshit so much.
I hate that stuff too, but these guys seem to do the pranks on themselves more so than anybody else, and I do like that. But at the same time, it's still kind of bad because I really hate when people like, hey, you gotta touch this big thing of dog shit or whatever. I'm like, oh fuck, stop it.
Is it like so what? Is it like a low key version of fucking Jackass?
Basically, but it's like nothing that's dangerous or nothing too extreme,
So
and it's very quick. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing about this, especially this season, is bravo to the editors because it's like every second there's a joke, like every single fucking second, and I'm like, I love that because take the music out, take the little silly, the music and everything. That has to be an awkward thing to shoot, is to try to make magic like that, like out of an 8-hour day just walking around, hey, look my balls, like it's like.
Yeah, I get it. It's like imagine if all of us, the MCA, lived in a fucking house. The amount of shit we had to talk about or we'd get into, like shit. Fuck. Anytime we talk about our fucking trips to fucking New York and Austin, like we have some BS on there. So the idea of like, yeah, I can get how they can do that. They're probably all good friends behind the scenes anyway.
Of course, yeah. But here's, that's number 10. Let's get to number 9. PAL, Star Trek Discovery, sir. Now, I really like that Sonequa Green. Sonequa Green.
Terrible Photoshop. I don't know if you got that off the site.
Yeah, I did.
Or made it. Okay, because I'm like, that's an awful Photoshop.
That is terrible Photoshop. But, I mean, at the same time, though, every other picture is always like the Star Trek spaceships and everything. And the reason why I don't like those spaceships, because for one, it's like, well, is it Star Trek Discovery or any Star Trek ever? Because that's usually what it's all about. And this,
it's iconic, yeah.
I love that they got Sasha from Walking Dead. Green.
She's kind of the main. She's not the captain, but she's kind of the main lead.
Okay, which is crazy because that's a diverse fucking casting choice. Female, black, like that's awesome. Now, is she actually good on the show though, or is it just kind of like counterculture?
Not even that. It's Star Trek's always kind of had this. I guess even you could even call it counterculture because Star Trek has always had like the most an incredible diversity amongst their cast. Even with the original, with Uhura being one of the first prominent black kiss on television, to moving on to all the other television shows, they've always had this stuff of like, back in the original Star Trek, they had a Russian being on the weapons expert, and that was like fucking taboo because either this was during the height of the Red Scare and shit like that, and it was always like, let's just kind of show that the future, we got over our fucking petty bullshit and people could just be in any position. So it's not like a situation where she's on, there and be like, what's someone like you doing here? It's more of just like, can you do your fucking job or can you not? It doesn't matter if you're an alien, a robot, black or white or Asian, because, the show starts off with she's, the first lieutenant and her captain is, an Asian woman. And shit's normal. And I kind of like that. It's kind of a nice change of pace of, we got past our petty bullshit of, race and sexuality and all that shit, and we're just moving towards exploring. And I think the show really does capture that because you see a wide diversity of people, aliens and humans, men and women, all working together to try to do that. And I think the show got a lot of slack because it's not as similar as the original series are. But I really did enjoy Star Trek Discovery because it gave me kind of what I wanted in a sci-fi show. It gave me kind of cool visuals, different planets, interesting kind of stories, and interesting characters. And I just had a kind of a good time through as they were going through, as they were kind of doing, kind of cool sci-fi stuff that you don't really get to see everywhere. And this show has a lot of money behind it. And everyone on it is honestly pretty good. And as far as the main chick, I think that the first episode, she's a bit trying too hard to be smart, but I think she eventually grows into her role as the series goes on.
Yeah. And this does look nice. The only thing that's looking at this, I'm like, this kind of like, this is, like, for instance, this little shot over here. I know you can't see it because Gunja's head's in the way, but like, yeah, I can't take these characters seriously. I can take Sonequa Green seriously, but I can't take these characters seriously because it is a Star Trekism with the whole like Trekkie thing and whatever the fuck.
Yeah, the ears, the extended ears are kind of looking like elves, basically. That's what kind of the what's Spock's the Vulcans are kind of trying to be, is essentially like, let's imagine it. Let's put elves in the future.
Now, you're an actual Star Trek fan, right?
No, I've actually never. I've seen the movies, and I've liked most of them, and I've never watched the original. So I'm kind of a casual. So that's probably why I like this more than like the hardcore Trekkies that wear suits and go to fucking conventions and be like, well, this doesn't fit this fucking universe. This doesn't do this. This doesn't do that. Well, like as a casual fan of someone that just watched the movie, like this is really good. In a lot of what it does, it has a lot of cool action, it has a lot of cool, interesting stuff. It manages to get me excited for the next episode of something I've never watched before, never even been interested prior. I almost want to go back and watch, Star Trek: The Next Generation to kind of see, like, okay, what started this whole trend of Star Trek?
Damn, so this is actually bringing in somebody.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I recommend it. I put this on my best because it is one of my favorite shows that came out this year.
Yeah,
Last year,
man.
I guess.
And by the way, people, just so you guys know, too, I forgot to bring this up earlier, but if you guys want to know what Allie and Ganja's lists are, including where this landed on Alan's personal list, stay tuned. We're going to be doing that at the very, very end of the show.
Yep.
So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on up to the east side. And we're over here. We're going to go ahead and see what number 8 is. Here we go, son. Pow. Wait. Oh, I fucked up. Pow. What's going on? Let's see. Pow. God damn it. It's the Prophet. Now, have you ever, do you guys have CNBC where you live?
I honestly don't know. If that's a cable thing, then I do not watch cable at all. I've heard about this show. Is it like a Dragon's Den type show, or?
Oh, no. Basically what it is, this dude actually goes to a bunch of businesses, small businesses, and they're all fucked up. Like, he tries to go to the most shittiest fucked up ones. And this is actually a reality TV show.
Oh, so it's like that guy that always yells at people, Hell's Kitchen type thing?
Pretty much, yeah. And the thing is, like, I like this guy because every now and then he will yell at somebody, and he will curse, and he will say, hey, motherfucker, what the fuck you doing? But the best part about this, too, is he is an investor, and his whole thing is, like, he just goes and just does this in many, many businesses. So he's also a businessman where you could probably look, I mean, in general, do you find businessmen bad guys or no?
I know Ganja would be like, of course, let's kill all the rich. But to me, it's like, at the end of the day, they're just doing, their trade is dealing with money and figuring out what works and what doesn't work. And it's like, in other cases, they're kind of just doing their job, just like somebody that goes to construction and hammers a nail into a wall. He's just putting, this guy's investing money into businesses to help them grow so that he can make money. It's like, he's making money using money as opposed to, hammering a nail into a wall. Like, at the end of the day, it's a job. I think that it's just the super rich people that always give it a bad name, but at the end of the day, he's just doing his job.
Yeah, and the thing is, too, is that he goes to these people, and they might be some fucked up psychopathic people, or people that are very, very lazy, whatever the case is, and he's nice to some people, but he's really bad to others. But the biggest thing is that, he's not doing this because of the kindness of his heart. And that is a thing that he talks about, too, sometimes, when you'll have those moments where, the small violin's playing, wah, 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 he's such a great guy. But then there'll be situations where he's like, yeah, well, I'm doing this because I want money. Like,
of course, he's making, the thing is, like, he's a businessman. Like, the idea that anybody could get $1 billion and make more money, it's like, no, it's actually really hard to make money from just investing, because you have to figure out, like, what is going to work. Can I actually am I just going to throw money into this fucking project and hope it works out? Or can I actually figure out, it's like, okay, if you fix this, this, and this, and I give you, $1 million, you will eventually be able to make $15 million in a year or two, and I get some of those rewards. Like, it takes a lot of intelligence to actually be able to kind of pull that off, a lot of smarts. And I think that's what people kind of forget. They think like, oh, if I have $1 billion, I'll be able to make infinite money. It's like, no, you could lose that in a day if you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Yeah, and the coolest thing too is they do these little animations in between, like him figuring out if he should invest or not, etc. Where they do the thing where they show the bad business of that practice, and they'll have like an animation showing like, hey, this is all the money going down because of this, this, and this. It's almost like Sims. Like, do you like building things like on Sims or City Skyline?
Oh, yeah. I love that. I love that kind of stuff. The settler games where you just like, let me just build stuff Tropico and shit like that.
Exactly. And this, does, I mean, I don't know who it is, but someone animates that with the business and showing how much is failing in this area. Like, oh, the pipes are fucking dirty and it's messing up the water. No one wants to rebuy the water, and the scotch costs $12. Shots should be $8. Blah blah blah. All this shit, and it gets to a point where he shows how to fix it, and it's just really cool to see that happen. And then the coolest thing about this is the honesty of it, because he does fuck up. There's times where the deal doesn't work out. There's times where he makes a bad decision, and he's like, well, sorry. Like...
It does happen. That's the thing. Like, that's the thing. You could lose $1 billion in a day if you're an idiot. Sometimes they don't go through. Sometimes they do, and it's like, it just depends on how good are you at being able to kind of fix a problem or see a problem that can be fixed. Because sometimes a business might have the best product, but it's just too expensive, it's too niche, or just nobody knows enough about it. It's like, can you walk in and fix it? Like, it's like, again, it's just as intricate as, can you go to a construction job and put a stud into a wall? Can you go to a business, give them the right amount of money, the right amount of advice to make the fucking foundation stand? Or are you just going to lose your fucking money?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's what I really like about the show. So, yeah, once again, people, it's The Prophet, the show. That's Marcus Lemonis, by the way. I forgot to say his name, but Marcus Lemonis is one of the, coolest fucking investor dudes. I mean, he does another show called The Partner, too, that I just got into as well. But I really like these investor shows on CNBC. CNBC is doing some of the best content there is, so definitely check that out. But what do you think number 7 is, man?
I'm trying to. I was trying to think because I'm trying to even remember what the fuck I put on the list. I have no idea. It surprised me.
Let's see. Pow! Shark Tank. Actually, no, those are not going to guess that.
I feel like this is high on your list. It seems like you like watching those kind of like investor shows or like, hey, sell of a product show.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. I mean, I won't bore you guys with this because we just kind of talked about something that has to do with business and whatnot. But season 9 came out, and what I'm about to show you is actually not from season 9. Actually, it's not letting me show you anything. Well, motherfucker.
I've watched the show a couple of times, so it's like I've kind of seen like how it kind of goes, and people just kind of hey, I got a product. And it's like I always kind of like the show because it's like it feels real. Like I don't know how 100% real it is, but it always feels real because it's like yeah, people have made these products, and it's like when you think about it, it almost makes it seem like it's attainable for you to be a small business owner. Just have a decent idea, go out and out of your way because almost every person that walks up to there, they've had their thing on a small scale. They sold it from like the back of their trucks, they sold it in their houses, they sold it online. But the reason they wanted investors is because they want to go international and they can't afford going international, so they come to these guys. I always kind of like that about the show.
Yeah, man, I love the show too, man. I love, the different characters of people too. Mark Cuban, who as a legitimate American fucking everybody knows him around here. But yeah, like he's a super nice dude. But then you got people like Kevin O'Leary, who's a complete fucking asshole. But it's just it's real. It's real. I love this shit. It is really funny. Yeah, basically, it really is. But yeah, I'm loving this show so very much, man. I really did the show. I've been watching it since season 8. Last year. I remember I thought the shit was boring as fuck. I thought there was shanks. I thought there was fucking sharks and tanks. So I was like, oh yeah, Shark Tank. I want to see some sharks. Like, what the fuck is this? But I mean, I'm sold now. I love this shit. But yeah, definitely check that out, ladies and gentlemen. But moving on. Now, do you want to guess what the next one will be?
So it had to be something on my list. So let me just kind of think. I don't know. Maybe American Vandal?
Let's see. The Punisher.
Oh, Punisher. Funny, I didn't put this on my list.
Now, the only reason why I put this here actually is because this is something that Ganja put.
I figured as much. He loved the fuck out of that show.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. The reason why I left this here because I disagree with this 100%.
I don't. Like, it was one of up there, but I just watched better stuff, so I didn't put it on my list.
No, okay, so in a positive way, because who knows, this might show up later on in the list. But, I mean, what do you feel about this particular show, man, like in a positive sense?
I think this is one of the best Marvel Netflix shows. It's up there with Daredevil Season 1 and Season 2 for me, and Jessica Jones, because it's one of those things where it manages to differentiate itself without trying too hard. It doesn't have to sit there and set it in a completely, different kind of setting. It's not boring as fuck like Iron Fist is. It feels the most real. It feels the most down to earth, and I think that's why people like Punisher and Daredevil, because he felt the most grounded. He felt the most normal of the hero. He's getting hit. He's bleeding. He's bruised. He spends most of the fucking show purple because he just has punches all over the face, and I think that they really managed to capture that in the television show. So when he's, going through, action scenes, it feels like he can get hurt, he can die. When he's trying to figure out, like, he's be able to beat these people not because he's, the best shooter ever, but because he's tactical, because he's thinking, because he's able to set up an environment. He knows his environment, and they don't. And I think that the action gets captured in that. But I also liked how real the show felt with the characters and the interactions and him dealing with the kind of kids, him kind of like almost like trying not to have a family but then end up having a family, and him like, I have to protect these people now because I wasn't able to protect my own family. And I loved kind of the world they were created. It differentiated itself from the rest of the Marvel universe in a good way.
Yeah, no, I mean, I completely agree with that too. I mean, this is a show that really is pretty, I mean, there's a lot of things I'm going to say later on that's going to negate everything I'm saying right now.
Sure.
I'm just going to be completely honest, but I will say that, when the show is actually good, it's very good. Shit like this right here. I mean, this show gets reactions out of you. That's something that you don't get a lot with a lot of other shows, especially when it comes to Marvel, because Marvel's been fucking up, in my opinion. I really hate what Marvel's been doing on Netflix. I know you don't, I know Ali and Ganja don't, but, like, for me personally, I've hated, like, literally hated what they've been doing. But, you know what I mean? Like, it is what it is. And, like, there's situations here, too, where, like, the gore is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I do think that this show kind of moved the lever a little bit, or the marker, like, hey, we're going to be this violent now. And this set a new standard, I think. I mean, do you agree with that? Do you think this set a new violence factor thing? Or no?
Not really. I mean, if you're talking about television in general, not even close, because Game of Thrones, or media in general, sorry. because Game of Thrones and shows like Hannibal have much more blood and gore and much more violence. I don't even think this moved the bar for Netflix itself, because there's much gorier stuff going on in what was it, in the Daredevil season 2, and he's, in the prison fight. Like, watch a prison fight. That's a fucking gory ass fight.
Oh yeah.
I think this is one of those things where I think it just did what it needs to do. I mean, that last kill is pretty bad, but that's really the only one in the whole show. The rest of it just feels real. I think they're moving away from, let's just do the gore factor, to what would actually happen if you got hit by an arrow? What would actually happen if you got shot? What would actually happen if you got beat up like he did? And I think that once we move past the whole, oh man, blood and shit on television, let's show what would happen in a fight with these people. Like, what would happen if you got hit in the face with a sledgehammer? What would happen if you get shot with an arrow? I think they're going to show a more realistic gore, as opposed to let's just do gore because we can get away with it.
Exactly. No, I completely agree. Now, let's go on to the next one. I'm not going to ask you what you think this is. It's time to show it. Pow! American Gods.
Yeah!
American Gods. Now, tell me about the show. I know nothing about the show at all, man.
And that is a bad thing to walk into the show. It's one of those shows where, and I hate this about, this is the only thing I hate about the show, is you need to have a lot of homework walking into the show to know what it's about. Because the show, it's not so much it assumes you know everything because this is based off a book. It's more of you know enough of the basic premise that you're okay with the fact that the character doesn't ask any questions about what the fuck is going on. Because basically what happens is, this show starts off with, this guy gets out of prison. His name is Shadow Moon, stupid fucking name. Gets out of prison, meets up with this guy in a plane. This guy in the plane's like, oh man, I gotta offer you a job. He's like, fuck no, I just got out of fucking prison. I don't want to get arrested again. Because he thinks he's shady. Mm-hmm. But then there's all these weird imageries of bulls and weird imagery that goes on throughout the episode. But then he eventually meets up with the guy, and honestly, this first episode seems normal. But as the series goes on, there's all these weirder things and weirder things and weirder things. And things that the main character isn't really understanding, but he's not asking any questions. He's kind of rolling with the flow. But the basic premise of the show is that all of the gods that have ever been around, they exist because we believe in them. Odin is around. There's some of the gods from African culture that are around. There's some of there's a god of Easter, and these gods are around, and they're affecting kind of lives in a certain way because people believe in them, and they gain more power based on belief. So that's why Easter was such a big holiday, because people believed in Easter, and that gave the deity of Easter power. But then when you see these gods right now, they're like, oh, they're really a weakened form, because no one's believing in Easter anymore. People celebrate Easter because it's a Christian holiday. They're not celebrating the original form of Easter, which is celebrating the god of Easter. But then you see the guy that keeps lifting his hat, and this guy that's smoking. Those are the gods of technology. Our phones, our television. They're the gods. Because we start looking at our phones, we start worshiping our phones essentially, and as a result, we created the gods of technology. And right now, there's a fight between the old gods and the new gods, and that's the basic premise of the show.
Yeah, like fucking Mortal Kombat or something, dude. That's fucking badass.
People are getting offed. There's a situation in which one of the old gods was god of volcano, and what it is the gods of technology. They're recruiting gods at this point. They're recruiting people to be in their army, and the gods of technology recruited the god of volcano and said, okay, you're gonna start making guns now, because you have your lava and you can make guns and shit. And as a result, people start worshiping guns because, NRI and all that bullshit. And now the god of volcano has, prayer. Because essentially what it is it makes sense of why gods need humans around, because they need people to worship them. Mm-hmm. So worship gives them power. Worship gives them strength. So when people start worshiping you, like if someone started worshiping you, Nick, and millions of people were worshiping you, you get power. One of my favorite things in the show is they start to talk about all religions, not just the old stuff. They also talk about Christianity, and at one point there are 15 different Jesuses on screen, because somebody's like, yeah, every single person has their own interpretation of Jesus, and they all believe in it. So you have the typical blonde hair, blue not blonde hair, blue eyes, the brown hair, blue eyes type thing. But then you have a Mexican Jesus at one point. You have Arab Jesus. Like you have these different versions of deities because people believe in different things.
No, that is actually really cool. I mean, it's the idea of like this Mortal Kombat type tournament thing where it's like they got the old versus the new. That's fucking awesome. I really love that a lot, actually. And maybe I'll check this out at some point. But people,
it does take a lot to go into. So one of those things. It's very one of those things. It's one of those shows where they're trying their best to get away with as much sex and violence. So I can imagine that it's easy to get off of the show. But honestly, if you keep watching, it's worth it when you get to the season finale.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to the next one. Here's number 4, people. The Walking Dead. You knew it was going to come eventually.
Number 1. The only reason it's that high up because I didn't fucking even put this on my worst of list. I cared.
Yeah, I just put this out there right away, folks. So there's things I didn't like about the very beginning of season 8, which is something that, that's what happened this year. And you would think like, okay, well, why the fuck? Okay, why are you even put on your best? Because what happened 2 weeks ago with the Carl death explained everything. Like, it literally was like, you know what, that's why. Like, finally there's a reason for the slowness at the show. And I fucking love that. I mean, this show has done so much shit to surprise me. There's still things that we don't even know all the way about. I mean, we've had shit spoiled, you know, with Morgan basically saying on The Talking Dead, yo, I'm going to be fucking getting killed off this show. You know, things like that. And so, I mean, that shit's still, like, on the up and up. Like, we still don't know what's going to happen with this. But, like, we got all these characters. This is a show that literally we know 20 to 35 characters, and they all mean something. I know all their names. I know their backstories. Because when they survive a season, it's like, holy shit, you survive a season. Well, I guess they think something about you, and then, pow, they're fucking dead. Or not. You never know. You're always on the tip of your toes. You're at the edge of your seat every time there's a character on screen, because that could be it. I mean, people complain about, like, the lack of rules for the zombies and everything, but what's cool about this, too, is, like, it's also shocking, because usually, me and you know, Alan, in real life, if there's slow zombies chasing us, we'd probably survive, because they're slow zombies.
I don't, that's what I'll never understand about. That's one of the things why I hate zombies, because I'll never understand in the fucking life of me. In a place of America where you guys just shoot people randomly anyway, that slow zombies would ever take over the world. I don't understand that.
Yeah, I mean, it's fucking stupid. But, like, the thing is, you know, with this show, there's a reason why. Because sometimes these rules do not continue. A zombie will go, and sometimes a zombie will be, like, knocked out, taking a nap, and then just wakes up right next to your foot. One tiny little bite, boom, you're done, you're dead. You know, I love this. One of the things
about The Walking Dead is, and I don't know why people are saying that they follow the zombie rules. They actually have a pretty good set of rules of, if you die, become a zombie. If you get bitten, become a zombie. Because to me, that actually works. If you have a situation in which people are dying and becoming zombies, people die, like hundreds of people die. Look at Chicago. People get fucking killed every day. Yeah. That makes sense for they would start coming back as zombies. Like, that to me works more than any other kind of slow zombie shit I've ever seen, because it's not so much just the infection, it's just straight dying.
Yeah, and on top of it too, though, it's also the fact of, like, you do guys sleep with your girlfriend, your wife, your daughter, your baby, your just roommates, and some people might get sick. I mean, there is heart attacks, there is cardiac arrests. You know, these things still exist in this world. If someone has a heart attack in their sleep, when you're knocked out, they will wake up and eat you when you're alive, when you're, you know, asleep. Like, I love stuff like that. And, you know, basically, Dejan's saying, this is the thing that they actually said in the show in the season 1, but he's saying zombies in the group are more dangerous than a single zombie. Actually, when they're around each other, they get, like, hyper, and they start running. So I like that about The Walking Dead. But the main thing here, I'm going to pull up the screen one more time, but the storyline that's making me just love the shit is the Negan storyline. This is a villain. I don't think I've ever loved a villain more so than Negan, except for Freddy Krueger. The thing that I love about this character so much is the fact that he's not even a fucking villain, but he's a perspective villain. You know, it's a situation where when you ever get time just alone with Negan, he's saying good guy shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a bad dude, and he totally understands what he's done is wrong, but he's like, I have reasons why, because the other people that are around me are fucking villains, and I'm trying to hold this shit together. And then from his perspective, Rick looks like a fucking lunatic. And
yeah, well, Rick is a fucking lunatic. But yeah, it's they call it perspective. Yeah, you nailed it. It's perspective villain. He's only the bad guy because he's on the other side. It's the pure definition of an antagonist, because we're under the assumption that the guy we're following is the good guy, which that could easily not be the fucking case. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's like, he's only the bad guy because he's on the other side of the line where Rick is. That's the only reason he's the quote-unquote bad guy, because we're following the quote-unquote good guy.
Yeah, man. And right now, the shark in the chair now is making fun of Negan's lean. There he is. Oh, look at that lean. I don't like the lean either. I don't know why he does the lean. It's fucking weird.
It looks cool, man. He likes Michael Jackson, man. Look at the jacket, man. All the zippers, man.
All the zippers.
He looks like a smooth criminal every day, man.
All he needs is like four belts, like James Franco's time was so. But yeah, like, he does that a lot. I don't understand why there's such a lean.
It's eccentric. He's one of those things where it's like, phone call, motherfucker?
Yeah, hold on one second. I gotta turn this shit off.
We in the show? Okay, talking about the villain then while the camera's on me. It's one of those things that when you're a showman, when you're high up on top, you have to keep showing confidence. You have to keep showing confidence, and the lean that happens is because he's basically trying to be like, look at me, I'm like acting like this isn't, I don't have a weight of the world on me. I don't give a fuck. I'm enjoying my goddamn life. Look at me. Look how cool I am. So when he's leaning and shit, it's because he's trying to throw people off. It's because he's trying to basically seem like this is nothing. Where inside, it's like, shit, I got to do this. I got to do that. I got to do that. But if you make it seem like you're not trying so hard it makes other people go, huh, like, I guess it's not that bad. I guess you really know what you're doing if this is fucking easy to you. Because the people below you are like, how the hell is he doing this? But if this motherfucker's leaning and you know, chilling and hitting on your girls because he is so good at his job, he can do that. And it's kind of a perception thing. They're trying to he's trying to basically make him seem more powerful than he actually is, so people fuck with him less.
Exactly.
It's like, you know, it's like having bodyguards around. It's like, if you have the perception of confidence and the perception of leadership, that is just as good as actually having the skills.
Exactly. And that's what I love about the character too. And I love how when we first see him, the reason why the lean is kind of like, what the fuck right now, is because when we first see him, he's pissed. He's pissed off as fuck.
Oh yeah, he lost like what, 30 fucking people. Like
yeah. So he, you know, you don't see the lean. So it's like the lean is like, that's who he is, but we don't see who he is until like the third episode he's on, because when the first time we see him, he's more mad than he's ever been. You know,
course,
and that's why he crushes motherfuckers' skulls.
And he's still fucking with people because he's basically trying to, yeah, it's one of those things where he's trying to show, like, I kind of like that in, at one point I'll watch season 7 and then season 8. But it's one of those things where I'm so sick of the whole, either we have to be, you know, some business suit villain or the Joker. I'm so sick of that. Like, give something in between, you know, somebody that just a regular kind of, almost a regular dude that's just, you know, in the villainous position.
Yeah, exactly. And I had the shark saying he's hiding his pain with the lean. And really quick, before you even continue on, as far as the Logan Paul thing, the reason why I haven't brought that up tonight, I was going to say that for the Midnight Chat Attack in case something else happens, because there's so much shit going on with Logan Paul.
Oh yeah,
right
dude, it's only day 2, so yeah, something's going to happen.
Yeah, but the thing is, I will say, I don't hate, you know, what he did in the sense of, like, I don't think he's a super duper piece of shit. I just think he's fucking stupid. Because the thing is, like, he didn't kill the person. You know, I don't think he should be laughing at dead body.
He made fun of it, though. I did it for views. Like, it's my thing of, like, if that was an accident, like, he was just filming it and didn't even realize it until after the fact, that's fair. You know, maybe it was just something so far in the background you didn't notice. But the fact that he went out of his way and then still saw it and then still uploaded it, it's like, you're basically, like, making fun of a dead person just to get a few extra views on YouTube and then did an apology video that you monetize. Like, you're a piece of shit, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the one thing I will say too is, like, for me, I just think it's a bad thing with a face on it, a very popular YouTube face, a very popular pretty boy, I made a shit ton of money with this video face, and that's why it's like, oh yeah, let's poke at him. But the thing is, and I don't like the motherfucker either. Like, I just want a reason to hate him, so I'm happy with you guys talking shit. But the thing is, though, with Logan Paul is, you know, people will complain about him where I've seen people that love to watch street fight videos, you know, Roadstar hip hop, you know, hey, Roadstar. You have to realize in those videos, you might look like a dumb fuck, Roadstar, but someone's getting beat and someone could possibly die. And he's worrying about Roadstar, gotta have my face on there, gotta say, yo, rep my street dog, blah, blah, blah. And he's, you know, watching someone get the fuck get beat out of. But yet those people don't, you know, those people don't have huge threads made about them talking shit about them, whatever the fuck. You know,
that's actually kind of the point. Those people don't have, like, those people just upload cell phone videos, you know, this 50, 60 people. They don't have a fucking huge, imagine if Mark Zuckerberg was in Logan Paul's position. Facebook would be burning to the ground, because it's like, when you have such a big, you know, such a big following, you have people that look up to you, you have people that do this, like, no one's looking up to the people fighting in the video. They're just like, hey, people are being the shit out of each other. Who gives a fuck? Logan Paul, to a certain degree, has people that look up to him, or have people that, you know, has a fucking large fan base. So when he does dumb fuck things, and it's like, there's a difference between dumb fuck things, people fighting, and I photographed a person dead just so I can get a few views, is fucking deplorable. And it's like, you just set a standard for your entire fucking channel. I'm just gonna do deplorable shit for fucking views.
True. But then I get to a point too where it's like, and that's literally what I was about to say, but Gaming God says, can I point something out? They are all going off at him and saying he used a dead guy for views, but think about everyone doing videos on that. They are using dead guy for views too, because, yeah, we're using the guy who used the guy who used the dead guy for views. Like, well, I mean, we're like 4 layers worse.
There's people that talk about the news. You know?
True. No, very, very true. But at the same time, it's like, you know, if we had like a whole topic about Logan Paul, you know what I would have done? And this is not Alan, this is me, folks. But what I would have done is I would have put dead guy, Suicide Forest in the tags. You know, and because I did that for the other people I work with. And, you know, I've done that. And it's like, I'm not saying, oh, poor guy, dead, whatever the fuck. No, there's an algorithm. I need to get you to click. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta write in the tags.
There's a difference between what you're doing and what he's doing, because you're doing it. You don't have you for the most part don't have a real choice in the matter, because you are doing your job and you're talking about this kind of situation because people are talking about it. He put this up on YouTube, like he had to edit this. Like there's fucking editing in that fucking video, which means he knew what he was doing. He at no point said, I think I should stop. This might be bad. Like everyone that's doing that other stuff, I don't really blame the people because they're doing their job of we got to talk about this because people need to know like how they can either stop this fucker for doing dumb shit. But he had to sit there in an editing booth or somebody sit there in an editing booth and said, this is good enough to put on YouTube. I'm gonna fucking do it. Like that's my problem. Of you knew this was stupid. You apologizing? Fuck you. Fuck
yeah. Oh, and that's another thing too. I really hate that apology. Like I know I'm a piece of shit, and I'm like, no, you don't. Or else you wouldn't be on there trying to salvage a character. You'd be like, no,
he
piece of shit,
monetized the apology video. That's enough. End of fucking discussion.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, but we'll go back into the top 10. But thank you very much for bringing that up, Gaming God, because I didn't want to bring it up on my own. So here we go. Next on our best shows list, bam, F's for Family. Oh,
okay, I see why. Because you and Ganja probably, yeah, saying we're getting near the end of the list. I can see why this is high up. Because probably you and Ganja put this really, really high up.
Yeah, we both put it really, really high up. And I mean, I'm not gonna make this a long thing, but I just will say that this character, Bill Burr's character, his dad, basically, he reminds me a lot of myself, and Ganja said that about me and him as well. But I will say the one thing I love about this show the most is the episodicness. The fact that these episodes leave a lasting effect on all these characters constantly. If there's a situation where any other show like Family Guy, seeing balls or breasts or your mom giving out milk or having sex with your father, it'd be like whatever. On this show, it scars the fucking kid. Like, it still bothers him to this day in the newer episodes. As someone gets beat up by a certain bully, it's not like, oh, an animation, I can just keep coming back. No, like, people get injured on this show. Like, I love it. I love how everything has a lasting effect. And it almost makes it, like, even though it's animation, it makes it live action, because it's so real. But, I mean, like, yeah, have you seen any episodes from this at all, dude?
No, because, again, it just always seemed like that brand of comedy that I'm just not really a huge fan of. But no, like you kind of describing that, like that's why I've kind of never liked Family Guy, or a lot of kind of other shows that run forever because it's like you can do so much. Like South Park is the worst example of this. I'm like, those kids have like murdered people and shit, and it seems like it doesn't fucking matter. So it's like it's kind of refreshing to hear a show that's like, yeah, there are consequences for real life actions.
Yeah, no, but I really do love this show. It's on Netflix, people. Season 2 came out this year. That's the one that we're basically talking about because when the first season came out, it was actually in 2015, I believe, in Christmas. So, anyways, yeah, definitely recommend the show. What do you think the number 2 spot is, Alan?
I'm trying to think. It has to be something either really high on all of our lists. Probably The Crown.
The Crown? Let's see. Mindhunter.
Oh, yeah, nice. Yeah, because me and Ali must have put this really, really high up.
Yep, both of you did. And, yeah, man, what you call it? I just know that this show is confusing as fuck. You know what I mean? And I don't know what y'all like about it, but go ahead and sell me on this, man. Like, what do you like about this?
So, what the basic... the premise of the show is this is in the 70s, and this is before... I think, Charles Manson literally just got caught, like, a month ago before the show starts. And what's the basic premise of the show is... This is the 70s. Charles Manson just got caught, and this guy, the guy, that they're showing right now, he's working with another person, and they're like, "Why does this shit keep happening?" Because one of the main guys is a hostage negotiator. His job is to talk down a hostage. His motto is, "If there are no body bags, I did my fucking job." Like that's his motto. Like if there's no body bags, like that's always his philosophy because he's trying to talk people down. He's trying to be like, how can I get this guy that has a gun to a woman's head to put the gun down, let the cops arrest him, and then everyone can go home alive. Like that's kind of his thing. But then he starts kind of like he starts seeing that his job like it doesn't work. But then he starts kind of seeing like he starts talking about all these serial killers to kind of explain how to talk somebody down, and he starts talking to another person. And goes, man, I wish there's a way we can kind of do this, Maybe we can find a way to like figure out how other people do this. Is there some sort of pattern? Is this just random? So they start figuring out, like, let's start interviewing serial killers. Let's find serial killers out in the real world and interview them and just talk to them, just have them talk. And they start going to these guys that they're doing some fucked up things. These guys that talk about like, I killed this woman and then I put a knife into her throat and I fucked the hole in her throat. And he's perfectly calm. Like we're having a conversation right now and he's just talking about how he brutally murdered and raped a woman. And they're having to sit there and swallow their gut and swallow their fucking intention to knock this guy the fuck out and kill him right there. Because as they're getting this information, as they're getting this stuff, they're actually able to use it to solve cases where there's like, because there's a lot of situations where people just kill people randomly because they're crazy. And there's no evidence, there's no like premeditated murder. People just kill people because they're crazy. But they're starting to use these profiles that they're starting to create to try to find these people that get, that just randomly kill people and chop up their body parts or feed them to dogs and stuff. So they're using all of these crazy people's stories to try to find other crazy people that haven't killed people yet, or have killed people and they're trying to solve murder so they no longer go unsolved, or they can stop serial killers from happening. And it's a really fucking great show. Like, if you like, the best way to describe this, and I described this to Ali, is like, and we were talking about it, I'm like, it's Criminal Minds if Criminal Minds wasn't a boring show.
Yeah, I mean, like, my whole thing too, because I mean, like, I know it probably seems boring, and for me too, it sounded boring when Ali was telling me about this, but like, as you explained it right now too, though, dude, I love the idea of the fact that they're actually doing everything in a very passive type of way. Like, most shows, most detective shows will be like, no, fuck you, you piece of shit, fucking son of a bitch, and the whole thing's going on. This, doing something in a passive, aggressive type of way, I love that. I mean, God, that's kind of creepy.
Man, there's this one conversation, like, I'm glad you brought that up. There's this one conversation, because, like, they're in the car, and the guy's like, man, we gotta go back and talk. And goes, you want to go back and talk to that crazy motherfucker? Did you hear the shit he was saying? It's like, yeah, it was great. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Like, but when they're in the interview, they're like, oh, you killed her. You cut her head off and had sex with her throat. Oh, okay, interesting. Tell us more. Why did you do it? And it's like that weird stark difference of they have to sit there and suppress their emotions because the information they're getting, they're able to formulate it into a way to catch other killers before they kill more people. And I love that about the show.
Yeah, man. No, but I'm actually liking the description of the show, man. Maybe I'll check it out at some point. I don't know when, but
it's on Netflix, so I recommend it to everybody. Just check out the first. It took me 2 episodes to get into it, so honestly, check out the first 2 episodes and you'll like it.
Yeah, but people, this is it though. #1 show. What do you think this is, sir?
I have no idea. I'm trying to think, but I really have nothing because there's a lot of choices that could be. So
here we go. Well, it doesn't work. There you go again. The Crown.
Okay, so I was almost right.
Yeah,
of course The Crown.
Right.
Everyone but you watched it. Yes.
So I did not watch the show at all. I watched the first season. I watched 4 episodes of the first season, and I liked how, even though it was so subtle, there was a little bit of blood here and there. I mean, especially the surgery scenes. I don't like that shit.
That was brutal.
Yeah, but then it got to a point where when I was on episode 3 of the first season, I didn't like how it got to a point where when they're in that car and they go to that one place and everyone's like in that room and it's really quiet and they're, it's all sad because like the main dude's about to get sick and die, whatever the fuck the case was. Yeah. It was just so dire and so slow paced and so subtle and so sad that I was like, man, I can't watch the show anymore. I had to get out. It's good. It's well shot. It's well acted. The music's amazing, but I can't get into it. So tell me why you love it so much.
I love it so much because of everything you kind of said. Because it's well acted, it's well shot, it's well paced, and it's real. One of the things is I'm Canadian, so the fucking British royal family is always something that's essentially looming over us, whether Canadians like to admit it or not. It's always a constant presence. So but the thing is you really almost know nothing about them besides what you hear in videos and newspapers and all that stuff. And what this does is it takes place of like, this is from the perspective of the royal family, but it doesn't do it in a sense of, oh man, they're super important, they're the best, they're the greatest. It's almost the opposite. It almost showcases how useless they are and how frustrated that the members are of, we actually have no power, but we have to be here. And it's like the situations where the queen is like, I want to do this stuff, but I'm literally against the law if I do any of this stuff. And I like that because it shows how real it is. And they go through so many aspects of history and so many how the queen had to deal with some of this stuff. You deal with how, this is post World War II. So you're dealing with how she's dealing with, the Russians coming up, dealing with, Winston Churchill's crazy ass, dealing with America. Like season 2 has JFK show up and dealing how she was interacting with Jackie. And that's what I kind of like about the show is it feels real. It feels realistic. To the extent where it's frustrating that she can't do this stuff, where she's frustrated where she's trying to change the royal family to be able to survive. So it's one of those things where if you love history, you'll love the shit out of the show because it's so 100% realistic that there's episodes where they're talking about like some dark shit about the royal family. Like one of the fucking past princes was like a fucking almost committed treason and was dealing with the fucking Nazis during World War II. And it's like they're just telling that, and apparently it was public knowledge to a certain degree. And it's like they're just make sure it's mainstream, and it's like that's what's really good about the show is it's really in depth into history. Everyone's on fucking point. There's not a single bad actor in this entire fucking show. So I recommend it to everybody. That just check out the first couple episodes and you'll be sold.
Yeah, man. But here it is, though, people. We're down to that point. It's top 10 worst TV shows. Now this is where we might be going through this pretty quick.
This is where we fight.
This is where we fight. Now that's why he's drinking water because he's like, I'm about to talk a bunch of shit right now.
Oh yeah.
But here we go. So basically, I mean, I had to do this page because, I mean, it's layered a certain way. So there you go. That was MCA's top 10 best shows. It was The Crown. But now it's time to get into our worst. Number 10. Let's do this, y'all. Neo Yokio. Oh man, Neo Yokio.
I didn't even put this. I forgot this came out this year, man. That's probably why it's on the list, because I completely forgot Neo Yokio came out.
Yeah, so I watched a couple more episodes. I didn't watch the finale. I will admit to that, but this was on my list for one of the worst. And I gotta say, dude, this show, I don't hate it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not hate this show. But I will tell you this much, that this show is what's wrong with anime. When I watched this show, I didn't watch a lot of anime. And that's why I was like, okay, not a big deal. It's typical anime stuff. But now that I've actually seen some anime, and I've watched some Nana, I've watched the Death Note. Yeah, I've seen. I mean, I think I've watched like nine different shows now. Welcome to the HK, Madoga, Magica Girls, Magic Girls, all this stuff. I've been watching a lot of stuff, and it's like now I know what good anime is. Now I know what it could be. Now I know you can tell stories in an anime, and this fucking thing's not even dubbed. This thing is actually an American anime. How did you fuck this up, y'all? You know, I hate this in hindsight. When I was watching it, I was like, whatever.
Oh, I get that. You didn't have a context. It's probably one of your first or second animes. I get that. If you have zero context, it's not. The thing is, the show isn't like the worst of the worst. It's not some utter trash. But what it is, it's just so inconsistent in what it wants to do. It has no set focus. It's so fucking bizarrely weird and bizarrely acted. That's really kind of what's wrong with the show, is there's no set idea of what it wants to be. It's just doing whatever the fuck it wants. It's just making things up. He's a Ghostbuster twice. And it's so all over the place. And I think that's really what the biggest problem with the show is it's so all over the place. I think it gets too much hate. Like, it's fun to hate it because it's Jaden Smith. But I think you could put anybody in that position and it would have been just as fucking weird.
And JP saying, yeah, you killed Anime Night. You monster. You monster.
Yeah, I killed Anime Night. Yeah, I deserve to die. I hope it burns in hell.
But, you know, anime is getting a lot better. Or at least, I mean, it's not getting a lot better. I don't know how it is doing in 2017. But I do know that as far as me watching it, yeah, I'm actually starting to dig it a lot more. But let's go ahead and get into the number 9 worst show of 2017. You want to guess what this is? Or you want me to just show it?
Show it.
Preacher.
Oh, fuck. Man. Okay, so Preacher is based off a comic. I think it's an Image comic. I think the same guys that do The Walking Dead, like the same same people that do The Walking Dead. And it's on the same network, so that's probably why they were able to get the rights to it. I love season 1. I love the fuck out of season 1. Great fight scenes, great characters, and it's all about this guy and the main guy who's Iron Man's dad in the movies. And basically what it is he gets the word of God. And what the word of God is if he focuses and says a phrase, you have to do it. Like, jump on one foot, and someone will jump on one foot. Do this, do that. And he has that power. And the first season is all about him kind of dealing with that power and also dealing with the stuff that's going around, you know, with people trying to take his family church, with people trying to take the land for his church, all this crazy stuff. And that's a great first season. It ends with them moving on to try to find God, because they're trying to figure out, why do I have this power? Where the hell is God is? Because they contact heaven and God's missing. So that's where season 2 leads in. And I was so disappointed with that second season, man. Because one of the biggest things was like, oh man, the comic book is so bloody and gory and so weird. So the second season's like, let's do that. It becomes so nonsensical. It becomes almost a cartoon with the amount of blood and gore. It becomes so just kind of like, what are you doing? Is this the same writing team? Is this the same fucking thing? Like, the action is all right, but it's so just cartoonish and all over the place. It's like it becomes basically almost like a Family Guy kind of level of like BS, just gore and BS, just blood and fucking jokes and stuff. And it just becomes it was just nothing like the first season. And I love that fucking first season. It's on the worst because of how disappointing it is and how much better the original season was.
Yeah, man. And hopefully the season 3 is gonna be good, because I have a lot of faith in the AMC or AMC in general. I even like their show Into the Badlands. You know, like, they do a lot of good shit. So hopefully this does get better. But let's go ahead and get into the next one. Here we go. Pow! The Punisher. You know who fucking wrote this shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say, would you put this number 1 just to get this on the fucking list? Like, what the hell?
And man,
it's okay to be man with a fucking series of Preacher and Riverdale. You picked this show? Come on, man.
Man, no, Punisher. I'm telling you, y'all. John Bernthal, literally walking around playing Sims Bustin' Out, basically. Let me fix your fucking garage. Let me fix your fucking sink. Let me fix your fucking relationship.
Father.
He's not their father.
Yeah, but that's the thing. As he starts to help them out, he slowly becomes their father. Inadvertently, when he's not trying to. He's actually trying to avoid it, but then he's like, okay, I got to stick around to make sure they're safe, and inadvertently, accidentally becomes a father.
I still can't stand it. And the thing is, we did a review on this, and I'm not going to talk about this a whole lot either. I'm actually going to move on from this. But
sure.
I will say one big thing that I want to talk about as far as the show goes is, and now it's been a while, so I get to go into these spoilers. So, by the way, spoilers.
Yeah, it's been up for months. Spoiler alert.
So, yeah, one thing that frustrates me about this a whole lot is the fact that we had a big discussion, and one of these days I'm going to do a separate video that's not even live. It's going to be me versus you, and it's going to be Nick argues with Alan. And our first topic is going to be one of these days, what is a villain? What is a villain in a show? And for me, what I hate about this show is that they, no matter what, do a shitty villain. I really hate how, like, okay, when you play a video game, you got a mini boss and a big boss. And sometimes it happens in TV shows, you know what I mean? But, like, for this, the main boss depends on your perspective as a viewer. For me, I always see, fucking, what's his name? Billy.
Okay, is that a bald guy or handsome guy?
Handsome guy, yeah, Billy. I always see Billy. And it's like, I knew from the very beginning that I was already going to dislike him because he was acting so cocky and so, yo, I'm fucking pretty boy, whatever the fuck. I knew it was going to be a problem. And you see so much of him that it makes sense that he's the main villain. Even if, like, the first 3 episodes are trying to tell you, like, he's a good guy. But it's like, you know what I mean? I see him the most. He should be the last kill. But then, technically, before him, you see crazy fucking redneck white dude who wants to be Punisher number 2, Punisher Jr. And he doesn't get a good ending. His shit is so anticlimactic. It's just a random explosion and a fucking thing. You don't even get to see what Karen goes through after that. But then the worst part about it is the bald-head guy is apparently the main boss. Yeah. And we get his death in the second to last episode. When he dies and that whole torture scene happens with Billy actually kind of turning into a good guy in a sense by helping Punisher because he's a Marine and they had to, you know, keep to their Marine ways. I really hated the fact that that episode was a perfect ending. Punisher was a puddle of blood, damn near guts, dude. I don't know how he got back up to fight. He went through some shit. But
they had a gunfight. They weren't having a kung fu fight until the last second.
Yeah, but it was like, don't you think that should have ended? I want to see him crush fucking Billy's face into the whole glass thing so they can do a Jigsaw reference. I want to see that. I thought the bald head dude dying and then Billy getting away, that was perfect. But what'd you feel about that?
I think that it should have been either 10 or 11 episodes where they did edit some of that shit out, because I think you could easily had the exact same thing happen, but if you just extended the last episode by 20 minutes, because that's basically what the last episode was. It was just a fucking gear up to a pretty cool action scene at the end. But it's one of those things where that's one of the things where I liked where it felt real, because it's not one of those things where this is like, even though this is based off a comic book, there's not some, you know, guy with a cape saying, I am the main villain, I am the one that dies. It's like, no, it's one of those things where it's villain because of circumstances. Like, Billy's doing his job. He's being essentially following orders from the guy above him. He was just doing his job. He just didn't give a shit who got hurt in the process. And that's why, you know, Punisher's like, I'm going to take you out because you did all this shit. Because it's villain based on circumstances. So there's no main villain. It's just people that the Punisher's next target. And that's what I liked about the show. So, you know, what was the kid? I can't remember the fuck his name is. Punisher Jr. Mm-hmm. He was an obstacle. The bald guy, he was an obstacle. Billy was an obstacle. So I don't think that every show needs to have a villain. I don't think villains are these people that are always the last to go. I think it's just the people that have the least humanity and the most to do. Like, even though we don't see the bald guy a lot, he is doing the most stuff. He's the one that's saying, go here, do this, do that. He's the guy, man with the plan. Billy, for the most part, is just doing his fucking job. He's literally just doing what he's told. So that's why I don't really consider him the quote-unquote main villain. He's an obstacle because he's just doing his job.
That makes sense. I mean, I can see your point there. I don't agree with you, but I can see your point. But yeah, for me, the villains and then just a lot of like the story building. Because for me, when I get into a show like this, I know it's gonna sound ridiculous, and you're gonna laugh when you hear this, but like, I don't want story in my Marvel action shows, because when you put it in story, when you're like, I need to get the storyline over, when you do that, you're already lost. I can't. Superheroes are fucking ridiculous. So you need to go and entertain me. If you try to give me story, a legitimate, good story, it's weird. Like when Dark Knight happened, everyone was like, "Oh, well, you can take a superhero seriously. Holy shit, Dark Knight did." I'm like, "Well, yeah. If you have Christopher fucking Nolan and a great villain like the Joker, then yeah, you can do it. If you're an exceptional fucking director and an amazing writer." But don't think you can just do that shit like just for no reason. Like, you know what I mean? Especially in a situation like this where you don't really earn it. I'm still wondering why he can take 20 fucking bullets within 2 days and still walk around just fine. You know?
Well, he kind of mentions that he's kind of just either on some painkillers or he feels like shit. But I don't know, man. I'm the opposite with you because like I love fucking superheroes. I love superheroes all over the place. Like it's one of those things where it's like I watch so many superhero things. That's like one of my main shows, like the CW shows, you know, Agents of Shield, every single Marvel Netflix show, because I think that you can make these superheroes exist in real life, and I think that as you try to make them more and more real, it fits within there. Obviously, they're fantastical, but I don't think fantastical necessarily means that it can't happen in real life. Because it's so many things. Like the Punisher's just a regular dude, and I can't wait to see him go up against people with actual abilities. Because like, it's one of those things. It's my favorite genre of mix in fantasy with reality, and how do you make them work? Do you just say fuck it and not bother, or do you actually try? That's what I loved about That's what I loved about Civil War. They managed to make everything fit. That this makes sense. That these superheroes are spies or they're people that are working for the government. You know, like some people that you look up, like war heroes, for instance. I think you can make it work. Sometimes it doesn't always work, like Iron Fist, but sometimes it does fucking work, where you can actually make the Punisher or Daredevil or Luke Cage actually feel like they belong in this world. So I'm the opposite with you. I don't think superheroes are ridiculous, and I think you can make anything serious if you try hard enough.
That makes sense. I mean, I'll let you have that. That's a wrong show. So here we are. That is number 8 on the list. Alan does not agree with me, but yeah, I think I'm the only person who felt this way. But let's go to number 7. Pow. WWE Monday Night Raw.
I don't, man. I know that there's enough wrestling people in there, and we had a discussion about this. I do not think this fucking counts. This is an event. This is not a television show,
It's an event. It's an episodic show, people. Because here's the thing, man. We do the ringside hangout all the time, but I love wrestling. I really do. You know, WWF was a shit back in the day. I love me some Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Undertaker and everybody. But ever since 2003, I stopped watching wrestling because of John Cena and because of Randy Orton. And it's funny because me and KK Punk in the chat, we actually discussed this. We actually talked about this. But nowadays, it gets to a thing. Like, I mean, I'm a writer and you're a writer too, so you understand what I'm about to say. But it gets to a point where it's a show that's 3 hours long, and every character just they do their climax all the fucking time. It's always Roman Reigns, who's a big star, versus another big star, and they have it over and over and over again. And everyone has it's a repeat. Every single week is a repeat because you got done with your biggest villain fight. Like Superman and fucking Lex Luthor, they don't fight all the time. You know, they build up to their fight. You know what I mean?
This is not becoming the ringside hangout.
Oh, Trey's in here.
Yeah, I was just about to go to bed, and then you said Raw's the worst show, and I was like, well, let me help my brother out.
What the fuck am I gonna say? Oh, it's not the worst.
Well, no, because this may or may not be the only wrestling thing on this fucking list. Because I mean,
more than one, then we have a problem we gotta talk about.
Because I'm telling you, like, this shit makes me not want to do the ringside hangout. I mean, like, Trey, I mean, what is your issues with WWE Raw? And I'm sorry, Alan, you were like, well, fuck. But like Trey, I mean,
tell you guys do your thing.
Yeah, but like Trey, like, what do you feel like this would be on my? Like, why do you think I chose this?
Through what I see being your co-host on the Ringside Hangouts, you hate the inconsistency of it. They do a lot of things that they don't even follow their own continuity sometimes. Also, they do a lot of decisions in it that is just bad booking, bad writing, and everything. Matter of fact, before I started my hating SmackDown thing that I'm doing right now, you've been having this problem with Raw for the longest time, whereas I just started having that problem with SmackDown, about a couple of months ago, I want to say. So yeah, Raw's been very inconsistent the most with that. So I think that's why you put that on your list, because that's honestly how I feel about the show lately. It's not the same Raw I grew up with. I mean, hell, I even ranted about it just this past Monday about how Kane is not the Kane I liked anymore, because now we got this inconsistent, like, no pyro Kane on the screen, and we're supposed to believe that he's gonna go against Brock Lesnar.
Yeah. And I mean, it's amazing because it's like you get situations where, and like, Alan, this is a big thing too, where, the big zenith, the big, oh my God, we got to get this thing in wrestling is the championship. And the guy who holds the championship is never on the show, being Brock Lesnar. He's the biggest star of the entire thing. He's never on there. Same with John Cena. He's over there filming Daddy's Home 2 and fucking, Ferdinand and all these movies, the animated films and everything. But he's not on the show. Meanwhile, like I just showed you right now in the intro, the wrestling intro, John Cena's all over the fucking place. It's John Cena here, John Cena there. Oh, John Cena's on Raw. John Cena's the best. You never see him. You know, yeah. Oh, I just realized what I just did. You can't see him.
I didn't even catch that till you fucking said something. But no, I get it because one of those things where it's like you have to keep people coming back every single fucking week, and how do people keep coming back? You have to keep having, big villains versus heroes, stuff like that. Like I kind of get like why they have to keep doing that because they have to keep getting people back, and they keep having newsworthy stories so that people come back to watch 4 or 5 shows a day.
Yeah, I mean it goes back to the whole WrestleMania thing. I mean we're still thinking like, hey, when's Undertaker gonna come back? The guy's like 70 years old, and even him not being on the show is more interesting than anything on the fucking show. It's like if we watched The Dark Knight and instead of enjoying Joker on screen, we're like, hey man, what do you think the Riddler's gonna do in 2 movies down the line? Hey man, what do you think they're gonna do with Justice League? It's like, no, we enjoyed Dark Knight for Dark Knight. We watched that and we had a fucking good time. You don't do that with wrestling. It's always like, man, remember back in the day? God, I miss fucking Jack Nicholson. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, so I mean that's why I really hate about fucking wrestling right now. But that's the wrong show again. Goddamn. But with this is number 7 on the list, let's go ahead and get into the next one. Pal Legion. I was actually hyped to watch this.
It's one of those things. I remember when I did the review. I think it was a Flex and Chill, and I reviewed the first episode. And I really liked the first episode, except for some of the what was it? Some of the CG. Mm-hmm. It's just after a while, I stopped watching it. I honestly just got bored of it. I felt like the actors were not really that particularly good. I felt that the show was trying too hard to make them crazy, and after a while, I honestly just got so bored of the show, I just stopped watching it. Yeah, I just fell off of this. I honestly never do. I watched fucking 4 seasons of Gotham. I usually don't drop shows unless I'm bored out of my mind. And it's just one of the things of the constant kind of X-Men storyline of we got this super powerful mutant. He's gonna, we have to train him to make sure he doesn't destroy anything. But because he's so unstable, he might destroy everything. But remember, the government's evil and they're trying to take us out for some fucking reason. And it's just the same old X-Men story.
It really does suck. I mean, it doesn't sound like you hate it, but it's just so much the same old shit. That's probably why you don't like it. Yeah,
it's just meh. Maybe I'll go back and finish it, but as of right now, I have no inkling. I have much better shows to watch.
Oh, let's go to number 5, folks. Pal Fargo. Man, this is
why'd you put season 2 on there? I think I specified. Oh no, I didn't specify these. Okay, that's my bad.
Season 3, basically, right?
Yeah, I'm specifying specifically season 3 because that came out this year. Because the image he actually shows there is Fargo season 2, and Fargo season 2 is fucking amazing. Like, for people that don't know really what the show's about, there's a movie that came out a long while ago. It's probably like
1996 or something.
Right? Yeah, it's a long ass time ago. Steve Buscemi, and it was called Fargo, and it's basically kind of this based on a true story, but it really wasn't. It's just a bunch of random stories that happened around this time that they firmed into some narrative. And when they made a television show, they got the same concept of let's just get a bunch of random little stories and make our own narrative around it. And the first season is spectacular. Martin Freeman plays the main guy, and it's fucking incredible. Season 2, you have it's almost like what you say in The Walking Dead. There's like 35, 40 characters, and everyone gets their time to shine, and it's an incredible fucking show. Season 3 was just the biggest drop. They got huge actors like Ewan McGregor here, Obi-Wan, playing 2 different people. You had Mary Elizabeth Winstead playing somebody else, and she's great in it. But it just felt so lame, so bad, and it set such a high bar in the first 2 seasons that it doesn't even come close to how there are random storylines that go absolutely fucking nowhere. People are just acting badly, and there's just no story whatsoever to what's going on. And the story's going on you don't give a fuck about, and it just ends. And it just ends on the dumbest fucking note. And there are questions that never get answered. There are characters that just never show up again. And the thing is that the guy that made it's funny that Legion and this became in the same kind of area, because because when he was making Legion, he was also doing Fargo season 3.
Oh,
so it probably explains why both shows are really that bad, because he was split.
Both are half-assed, literally half-assed. Like, goddamn.
He had to split his time. I'm just like, it's such a drop from season 1 and season 2 to season 3 that I just was so fucking mad of watching it.
It does suck, man. But yeah, people. Well, this still is actually from season 2, like you said.
Season 2. That's a great season. You can actually watch like season 1 or season 2 without ever watching the movie. So they're pretty standalone.
But here we go, number 4. What do you think this is, Alan?
I'm trying to think. Probably Riverdale. We're getting really high up there.
Let's see. The Defenders.
Defenders. Okay, because I did not vote on this one.
Yeah, Defenders. So that's literally like I think my number 2. I mean, we'll see right now when I show up the list. Or I can't remember what it was, but I fucking despise this goddamn show. I hate the way they did the same thing they did with Cottonmouth, and they did that with fucking Sigourney Weaver's character.
That was unceremonious as fuck.
Yeah, super unceremonious. And then the thing is too, I don't know why Iron Fist is such a big deal about this. We might be talking about that later on. But the Iron Fist thing, it's like, why was he such a big part of this? And I know as a Defenders, whatever the fuck, but you know, they had a chance to make the decision ahead of time not to have him so much in here because people were already complaining about the fucking show. I mean, it wasn't getting great views. It wasn't getting fucking liked a whole lot because people really did not like this character or his fucking lore. And with doing something like Luke Cage, which was pretty bad too, it's like I didn't know how further you can go. And this, honestly, is not as bad as Luke Cage, but the potential of this, the potential of what you could have had here, and even with Luke Cage. Making jokes like we did right now too, when he breaks the handcuffs and he's like, oh, oh well, I'm fucking awesome. Like, this is big stakes. This is some crazy shit going on, and you're gonna make jokes like that, like haha, fucking whatever. I thought
it was a start. Like that's the thing. I know what you're getting, but that was really that was the first episode. You didn't really know this. You didn't really know the stakes going on. Like, I honestly, I'm not even gonna argue by putting this on your worst because it's honestly it was disappointing. Like I still like it, but I always say it's a middle of the road because it did a lot of good stuff and had a lot of cool scenes. But honestly, the last 2 episodes are just honestly garbage. But the thing is what I like about this is it kind of showed that Iron Fist can be done well. Like, he was awful in his fucking show. You shouldn't even bother watching it.
Yeah,
but
man.
in here, I liked it because it showed that he's really not good at his job, but he's growing. He's able to he's growing more into this than he ever did in his own show. I like the dynamic that all the characters had. It's one of those things where, and I saw this in the trailer, is all the characters had great chemistry with each other. Iron Fist having a conversation with Luke Cage was really fucking cool. You know, having Daredevil, you know, dealing with this, having Daredevil fight Iron Fist was a fucking great fight. Like, there's a lot of good in this show, but there's also, unfortunately, a lot of bad in this show, and it really bogs it down where I'd rather Defender Season 2 than any standalone season.
Yeah, I mean, and me too, honestly. At that point, might as well get it all out in the same fucking thing. And honestly, in that situation too, it's like maybe you can have more where the episodes aren't so dragging. Because one thing I will say about the show that I liked versus any of the other shows, and I mean even Punisher, is at least in this show there was always something going on because you know you have 4 characters to build. So no matter what, it's like pay attention. You know, with Punisher, I could have sworn I could have just walked out the fucking room and would have came back and not missed a fucking thing except for him fixing somebody's fucking thing or having some conversation about, you know, building character. Meanwhile, it's a Punisher. Who gives a fuck about that character? You know, I mean, I don't.
Man. A lot of people.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know, man. I'm a weird dude when it comes to that stuff. But yeah, moving on up. This is number 4. Now we're getting to the top 3. What do you think number 3 is, sir?
I'm gonna keep saying Riverdale until I'm right.
Iron Fist.
Man, we're going straight. We're going right through the fucking Marvel list.
Yep, right through my. Literally, I think that makes every Marvel show that's on Netflix made it onto this list.
Yeah, that came out in 2017.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, Iron Fist. I don't think there's really a whole lot to say here. It was the worst fucking thing I fucking ever did see, and I only watched like 3 episodes. But I think that's enough to count. I hate this.
I
fucking
watched the whole
show.
Fucking thing, so yeah, that's enough to count.
Yeah, man. But any words, by the way, before you even move on? Like, what do you have to say about Iron Fist that hasn't been said already?
Yeah, just the worst Netflix show. Anyone that says that anything but Iron Fist is the worst Netflix show or the worst Marvel property is just lying to themselves and never saw it. It's so underwhelming because when you see that fucking trailer, like, oh man, a lot of cool action scenes. I can't fucking wait. I was hyped. Like, you can go back. There's me fucking reacting live on there, me freaking the fuck out watching the trailer. Because I love choreographed fight scenes. That's one of my things of why I love Daredevil Season 1, Season 2 so much, because I love good choreography in the fight scenes. And the problem is the show either has lame choreography or the choreography is just so underwhelming that you might as well just not be there. And it's just overall disappointing. There's no reason to watch this. There's no benefit to watching this for the Defenders. There's no benefit to watching this for the characters. There's nothing in here that you could honestly live without. Like, there's no reason to fucking watch the show.
Yeah, man. But no, this is definitely a pretty bad, very trash ass show. I'm gonna show you really quick too. Sorry about my phone. Trying to find a way to fucking vibrate this thing really quick. There we go. We are good. Not vibrate, by the way. That's what it was doing. Anyways, back to the show. Let's go ahead and move on. Iron Fist is trash. We all know that. But let's go to number 2. I know exactly what this is because I know what number 1 is because everybody agreed with it.
Well, you made it.
Yeah, well, of course. I forget though because I'm fucking old. But here we go. Number 2. WWE SmackDown Live.
God, hey, whatever. This is the Ringside Hangout's worst wrestling shows of the year or some shit.
Dude, I hate SmackDown so fucking much. Dude, honestly, I think I've given that show, like, we review each episode every single week on Tuesday nights on the Ringside Hangout. Right, Trey?
Right, we do.
Absolutely. And I think literally this year, I've given it at least, and I mean at the very, very least, like 20 fucking 0 out of 5s. Like, I mean, it's been crazy. You know? I mean, didn't we give the show like a negative at some point?
Dude, I gave it a negative 1,000. Like, Nick, like, here's the thing, though. Like, remember last year, SmackDown was killing it. And it's like, and you kept saying it like all this time. It's like they changed writers at some point, because it's like ever since SmackDown was killing it, it's like, oh man, they're doing really good. We got to put some crappy stuff in this now. And that's exactly what it's been. I think that's what pissed me off the most back when I put my blue shirt I used to wear for SmackDown. I abandoned it. And yes, I just came from that house, by the way, and it's still there. That shirt is still there because I'm like, fuck SmackDown. That show is still terrible. It's disappointing to see where it came from, where we had these amazing storylines, and it was like saving grace from the terrible show that was Monday Night Raw to both shows being bad. Hell, I'm surprised the first SmackDown this year was actually pretty good, but for 2017, it was more negative than good. Way more negative than good.
Yeah, I mean, and it's ruining other shows too. I mean, got another show taken off the air. They had the show called WWE Talking Smack, where they would actually discuss outside of character, just literally just the person behind the gimmick having conversations. They got rid of that shit, and now you only have that shit going on. One thing I really hate too about this as well, that I need to just bring up on here, and I hate to talk shit about fucking SmackDown, because then I'm like, no one's gonna want to watch wrestling. People are like, oh, why are you watching that shit, Nick? Blah, 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 the whole thing. But they do a thing, and I know Trey's probably sick of hearing this part, but they have this situation where, there's 50, not even 50, there's like 25 guys on the roster. And it's 2 hours, a 2-hour show. For some reason, people just don't fucking appear on the show. They'll have storylines they built for weeks. And you'll get into this character, you'll be wanting to know what they're going to do, they advertise all this shit, and then all of a sudden they're just not on. Not because they're injured, not because they failed a drug test, because there wasn't enough time on the show. We really need to have a girl segment where she's making jokes, and we need to have some one dude, like, have a flirty little conversation with her, whatever the fuck. I mean, this show does not have enough time to do their characters. It's like if you're watching Batman and he was, going against a Joker and Two-Face or somebody like that, and then Two-Face just ends up not on the movie. Like, he was like, I'll get you next time, and then, like, he just doesn't show up, like, halfway through the movie. It just doesn't.
Yeah. That's happened. It's called Arkham.
Oh, God, yeah, you're right. I'm trying to, like, think, like, what can I compare it to? Like, imagine those Marvel stingers if they happen in the middle of the movie. Like, imagine if, like, at the end of Iron Man, when fucking, what's his name, Nick Cage, imagine if just in the middle of the movie comes out and says, hey, man, like, Hulk, or whatever the fuck, or the Avengers, and then he just leaves, and that never gets solved or talked about later on. It's fucking stupid.
That did happen. At the end of Hulk, what was it? Thunder Ross, like, never shows up ever again. Like,
oh man, you 100% right. I'm still wondering what this dude is. Dude's gone.
The thing is, he does show up in Civil War, but that's like fucking like 10 years later almost.
Yeah.
But, that's crazy.
Yeah, but I just hate that shit. It's just like, when you're writing something and you have your characters and you have them fleshed out, you need to finish your stories. You can't just give me a piece of a story just to let me know, oh, he's still here. And then, I mean, they're having like main characters become like, I guess we call it like jobbers or mid-carders, but let's just put this into cinematic film form. Imagine a lead becoming fucking an extra. Like, that's what this does. Like, you know what I mean? Like, imagine Spider-Man. Yeah, it's like, imagine a Spider-Man, he gets in a discussion with Miles Morales, and it's like, oh shit, what's Spider-Man gonna do next? And then all of a sudden the movie's like, you know what? Fuck Spider-Man Homecoming. Miles Morales, what are you about to do? And like, somewhere in the background, Spider-Man's fighting the boss. Like, and then Miles Morales is talking to a tree, like, that's the forefront. It's fucking ridiculous. I fucking hate SmackDown, and I sometimes I don't want to do our show because of that. And I've actually admitted on the shows now, I'm not watching these anymore, like, ever. I'm just gonna fucking, read about it, and then that's it. That's how I'm gonna rate these fucking things. But I mean, Trey, do you agree with me putting this so high on my list?
Oh no, I'm 100% with you on this. Out of all the bad TV there is, and it's so sad. We do a wrestling show, and I love it. Like, me and Ganja and Alan got this joke about ringside hangouts, MCA, whatever. But sometimes it's very hard to even defend it because it's been so bad. And Nick, to go on your point, the biggest example is with your boy Mojo Riley. Like they played this whole back and forth thing for months on who was going to turn on who, whether Zack Ryder was going to turn on Mojo Riley and Mojo Riley was going to turn on Zack Ryder, and it took months for it to pull it off. They put the strings there like in February, and then we didn't get that to freaking November because they barely put them on the freaking show. It's like, hey, I'm going to turn on you, but no, not yet. And then they'll be gone for like 3 months, then come back. I'm going to turn on you. Oh, not yet. Oh, yeah, I'm going to be gone for 6 months. Okay. Now I'm going to finally turn on you. I'm going to be the one to do it. Not you, by the way, even though it was hinted that I was originally going to do it. I'm going to let you do it to me instead. It's ridiculous how they pulled this stuff on us. And as Ruthless is saying in the chat, Ty Dillinger has stuff going on SmackDown, and he's nowhere to be found. Yeah. Like, it's terrible booking, terrible writing. So, Alan, as much as I want to say this wrestling doesn't count to me with the stuff me, Hovik, and Nick go through with this stupid ass wrestling show, I kind of gotta agree with Nick. This has been a terrible year for wrestling. 2017 has sucked for wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, and literally the best show of the year at WrestleMania was one of the worst WrestleManias I've seen this year. It's really, really disheartening, and it's like when, you know, and Alan doesn't really talk shit. I mean, he'll make jokes whatever the fuck, but when people do talk shit about, you know, wrestling, I used to defend it like, well, you know, you don't know, dude, or give it a chance. I can't even recommend that anymore. It's like, it's so embarrassing that I'm even part of it. Like, it's like, it's sad. It's like being into Pokemon when 4th generation started. You know what I mean? Like, it's lame. Stop it. So, anyways, yeah, that's my number 2. We're going to head on over to the number 1. Alan, you need to know what this is, sir.
At this point, man, it's probably going to be a fucking another wrestle thing, so...
No, Riverdale. Wrestledale.
Yay.
Wrestledale.
So,
man.
I mean, for this being number 1, and by the way, everybody on our MCA team voted for this number 1, by the way. I did not. I didn't watch this. But everybody did. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, and yet you guys watched it every time. Why, Alan? Why?
Because it's one of those things where it's so bad that it's not worth watching on your own. But there's enough stupid shit that goes on a consistent enough basis that if you have 3 or 4 people around, like me, Trey, Ali, and Gaja watch this all the time, and we are just picking apart how stupid and bad the show is. It's like, it's one of those shows where it's a blend of, it's so bad that it's perfectly bad. There's nothing good about it, but the bad in there's enough for you to grab onto and to make fun of, to talk shit about, to wonder what the fuck is going on. It's not boring. That's the only positive thing I'll give about the show, is it's not boring. There's always something going on. It's always terrible and badly written, but there's always something going on. And the reason, like, this is probably my worst show of the year, because there is absolutely 0 things good about this show. All the acting is terrible. All the storylines are god-awful. Everything that's happening makes no sense. There's no fucking set idea of what time period this show wants to be in. The show wants to do it like it's 2017, but feels like it's in the 1960s. With their fucking... The random dance numbers come out of nowhere, and they're fucking trash. They take songs that I hate and make me hate it more. I hate the song Milkshakes. They did a rendition of Milkshakes to make me hate it even more than the original song. I don't think that was possible.
Oh, God.
Characters just go off and do things out of character. Like, Betty just decides to become a stripper for some fucking reason. And it's just like, oh my God. It, like, if you watch it, if you're your friends that have a good enough sense of humor, you'll enjoy it. But there's no fucking reason to watch it, like, at all.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've watched it with you guys. There's a couple things. I mean, I will say the women are really hot. I get that, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know, that's another thing. But it's like, it makes you go like, damn, like, fuck her, man.
Well, literally anything. Because they're all, honestly, everyone on the show is there's not a single person on the show that I think either you could relate with or sympathize with, because everyone on the show is a piece of shit in one way or another. Not even a good way. There's no way to relate with them, because they're just doing things almost like going out of their way to be assholes.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But God, yeah. So Riverdale is that's a Ron fucking show.
You're trying to trick me, give him first shit.
No, people. Yeah, that is number 1. Riverdale is number 1. The very, very worst show in all of the MCA. Now, before I move on to our personal list, I just want to say one thing really quick, since my boy's in here before he runs away, because he's a bitch. But happy birthday, Trey Cooper, my boy. He's growing up.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the happy birthday wishes, guys. I really appreciate it. But I'm gonna go to bed now because I just want to help out with the wrestling stuff and everything. Unless I don't really have a TV list. I will say Riverdale is my guilty pleasure. I was gonna put that out there. It's a guilty pleasure. I'm sorry. I enjoy it. I know it sucks. I know it's bad, and I agree the acting's horrible, but I love it. I'm sorry. I'm that guy. I'm the problem.
Goddamn problem child.
I'd rather watch Riverdale than Game of Thrones. I'd rather watch Game of Thrones or Walking Dead.
Oh, see, that's what happens when you're a hipster, people. You say stupid shit like that. But the thing is, happy birthday. We love you. That's a pear, by the way, not an apple. And, yeah. That's a stupid thing to say now.
All right. I'm out, guys. Fuck WrestleMania. Fuck SummerSlam. Goodbye.
Good night. You're old now. So, now, because he's 1 year older. I want to show this really quick. So, we're over here. That was our word show of the year. But let's get into our personal list. This is going to be our best first. Now, pal. Wait, goddammit. Do it right, motherfucker. Pal. So, the thing is, American Vandal. Why is that one of your best, by the way? Like, what is it, actually?
Okay, so the best... Okay, it's one of those things where I think you need to watch the trailer and then try to not avoid it entirely. Because... when I describe it, it's one of those things, the concept is so unbelievably fucking stupid, but the way the show actually goes about it, it becomes a small town mystery, and I love it. Because basically what the entire thing is there's some teacher conference, and like 20 cars in a fucking parking lot get vandalized. Like they spray dicks on them. Like 20 cars, and it's like hundreds of $1,000s worth of damage. And they blame this one guy, and it's like this blowout loser, this typical what you'd expect, like the guy that's showing the guy with the hat, typical fucking blowout stoner loser, just talks shit all the time, does nothing but smoking weed, skips classes, is a failure, is a blowout, like you don't expect anything out of his life, and they're blaming him. And the guy that's actually making this essentially documentary starts kind of talking about the story because like, oh, hey, it's a big thing, this will be cool in the news. He starts realizing, wait, I don't think this guy actually did it. He starts actually thinking. He starts seeing some evidence going, I actually don't think that the guy that they're accusing of actually did it. Because there's a lot of inconsistencies. There's a lot of things that don't actually make sense. But, the school board's not going to give a shit. They found their guy. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to uncover the truth. I'm going to sit there. I'm going to videotape. I'm going to, have conversations with all these people. I'm going to talk to the guy that's accused of it. And I'm going to try to develop a story. I'm going to try to develop some sort of like, almost like if you've ever seen the show How to Make a Murderer kind of type thing of like, I'm going to follow this guy. I'm going to start having conversations with everyone around him. I'm going to start researching evidence. And the twists, the churns, the details they get, I just started loving it more and more and more. And yeah, it's about, dicks and all that stuff, but it's such an interesting small town mystery of how all these things are connected, how they're doing social media, how they're dealing with kids' lives that it becomes such an interesting watch. I watched it all in one sitting.
Yeah,
it's 8 episodes, half an hour per piece, and I was just after another. Like I could not stop watching this as soon as I started watching it.
Now, if you guys are wondering where like some of these lists actually kind of like meet up, or whatever. As for family, me and Ganja both voted for that, but except Ganja, that made his 5th, and that made my number 1. As far as Mindhunter goes, you and Allie were pretty much right on the ball with that. She said Mindhunter was her 3rd favorite, and it was her 2nd favorite, and then. I don't know if you watched Stranger Things season 2. I didn't watch any of it, but Allie gave that her 2nd place.
I watched it. I loved it. I think Stranger Things season 2 is incredible, and it's better than season 1. I just watched a lot better television show this year, so.
Yeah, it makes sense. And then she also put Game of Thrones and 13 Reasons Why. Now, unfortunately, Trey's gone, so you can't say Game of Thrones sucks right now. But yeah, no, she said Game of Thrones is one of her favorite shows. I actually cannot fucking get into Game of Thrones. I don't know why. It's just something about it, dude. I don't dig it. I just don't.
Some people get it. Some people are into it. Some people aren't.
But The Crown season 2, though, everybody voted for that. I mean, it's really crazy how much you guys have really loved that show. One thing, though, that I have to bitch about is South Park season 21, Ganja. Come on, man. And Adam Ruins Everything. Those are 2 shows that I fucking can't stand.
Ganja doesn't probably not a shake the words Ganja. I don't know how much television Ganja watches, so he might have had a tough time making the list. So he might have just watched stuff he watched anyway. Because like Adam Ruins Everything, like I don't remember him ever talking about it. I know he watched a few episodes, but like I don't remember him ever talking about it. Because honestly, I've stopped watching Adam Ruins Everything because I feel that it's so repetitive where it's like at the end of the day every single thing is terrible because of it's all advertisement at the end of the day. Everything's just to sell stuff, and I'm like after a while I'm like I just really don't care.
No, like this dude just annoys the fuck
I'd rather
out
watch
of me.
John Oliver, and he does the same thing, but just much better and much funnier.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I really can't stand this dude. So that's what it is for our top 10 best. Now let's go over here and check out our. Well, it's not our top 10. It's just our overall, 5 best for all these shows. Now let's check out the worst. Pow. And Allie only watched one bad show apparently this year, and that is Riverdale.
She watched a lot more bad movies than bad television. Because honestly, watching a bad TV show is hard because if you hate it, there's no reason to continue watching it unless you're crazy like me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the thing. It's like as far as bad television show, it's like I watch probably more bad television than anybody ever. So it's like it's really easy for me to kind of say, oh, I have a bunch of bad TV shows. Oh, there are worse shit on there. I could have put Gotham or I could have put some other stuff, but I picked like what ones that I remember, which ones I fucking just could not stand.
By the way, I don't know what the fuck happened, but
I know I didn't want to say it.
I made the same mistake I did the other day.
I know. I rolled with it. I didn't say anything.
Man,
just get the show going.
Well, here's the thing. I'm actually gonna show it because I think you're owed this at the very, very least, people. But now let me go ahead and show on the Google Docs his list, and here it is right here. Pada! Yes. Yeah, number 1, Riverdale, season 1 and 2. Fargo. I mean, I guess you did talk about every single thing that was on the.
Yeah,
the
everything on here made the list, like in varying degrees or not.
Yeah, man. So yeah, that's basically about it, though, man. We are basically done, folks. So. Once again, I really appreciate everybody actually watching us tonight. I know there wasn't a whole lot of people talking around this time because of the fact that, yeah, like, it's late. It's late, man. We started late, the whole goddamn thing. But I really appreciate that you were here to make it too, Alan, my boy.
Yep, anytime.
Yeah, man. And then, so yeah, while you're here, actually, tomorrow night you will be doing the Facebook gaming thing with Ganja. Am I right or am I wrong?
No, that'll be Friday. It seems like Ganja has his computer up and running, so everything's going to be going good. We're debating if we're going to do Red Alert 3 or if we're going to do something else, but everything is going to be kind of right up. We should be basically on time, 7:30 CST on the Facebook channel. And yeah, we're going to be basically playing that and just having our normal conversations. Yeah,
so with that said, folks, thank you once again for joining us tonight. But there's only one thing left to say, one thing left to do. And we want you, by the way, to check us out on Facebook. Go to the Midnight Chat Attack Facebook page to let us know what you thought of tonight's show and if you want to be on the show for later episodes. Next week, there will not be a Midweek Chat Attack. I'm announcing that officially right now. I will not be able to be here. And I just feel like it'll be a good time for everyone to kind of take a break, unless you guys go to the actual Facebook page, like I just said, and maybe Alan or Ganja might be doing something on there, playing some video games, hanging out.
We might be doing a stream either on the Facebook or on the YouTube channel during that time slot. So we're probably going to be doing something. So just tune into either the Facebook or the Midnight Chat Attack. We'll be doing something around the same time as we normally would do the midweek.
Exactly. So, folks, yeah, definitely check that out. But that's basically about it. Thank you very much for watching us. And like I said, there's only one thing left to do. On 1, and on 2, and on that 3, son. Attack.
Attack.
Yeah. Woo, boy.